Welcome to the Mercari course here. Now, I'm excited that you're here because you've just taken the first step towards building a profitable side hustle or even a full-time business here on Mercari, right? Through one of the most underrated platforms in e-com right now, in my opinion, this is a massive opportunity. Now, why Mercari? Well, unlike other marketplaces that are crowded with professional sellers like Amazon or eBay or others like it, Mercari is still relatively new in the resale and the e-com space, especially dropshipping as well. And that means that there's a ton less competition, but at the same time, there's millions of active buyers already on the app every single month, and that's only growing. I like to think of it kind of as like a baby eBay with a ton of upside, but not nearly the competition that eBay obviously has or things like Amazon, etc., right? And this creates a unique window of opportunity. You are stepping into a marketplace that's established enough to have serious traffic, but not yet oversaturated. And you can actually stand out and build momentum relatively quickly on this platform. Now, another reason that Mercari is such a great platform is the accessibility. You don't need a warehouse, you don't need employees, you don't need a ton of upfront money to get started or anything like that. In fact, you can start by selling things that are just lying around your house, like old clothes, electronics, household items, and turn them into your first sales and profits if you want to. Now, from there, you can branch out into sourcing things more strategically, whether that's with things like cashback sites, liquidation sites, thrift sites, even dropshipping if you decide to scale in that direction as well. And obviously, we're going to cover everything from selling things in your house to those other specific methods that I talked about here in this course. Mercari also makes selling super simple, which I love. The platform handles payments for you. It gives you prepaid shipping labels if you want to go that route or allows you to ship on your own. And it also has built-in buyer and seller protection so you can focus on what matters most: finding products, creating listings, and making sales and collecting money. So if you leverage strategies like SEO, smart pricing, promotions, good products, your listings can rise to the top and bring in consistent sales and consistent money for you. The truth is, we're in a golden era for reselling and online marketplaces, and the average person today is more comfortable than ever before buying secondhand, discounted, or online products in general, and that trend is only growing and growing as the years and the decade goes on. Mercari is right at the center of it right now. It is a massive opportunity. So if you position yourself and your store correctly, then you can carve out a profitable business in this space, and you don't need a huge budget to do it. So throughout this course, I'm going to walk you through step by step everything that you're going to need to know how to succeed on Mercari. From setting up your account, to creating SEO-friendly listings, to sourcing profitable products, to maximizing your margins with cashback or smart shipping hacks, and the list goes on and on. You are going to learn the exact strategies that I personally use and have taught to others to build real businesses on this platform. This is a massive opportunity, and you're in the right space to take advantage of it. So with that being said, let's dive in. All right, so we're creating this course, but why should you listen to me? Do I have even experience? Anybody can tell you, this is what you should do, but am I actually doing it, right? So this is actually my second Mercari account. My first one had over 10,000 sales. I drop shipped on it significantly, made a few of the mistakes that I will teach you to avoid in this course so you don't run into what I ran into. Made a ton of money, made a ton of sales, and obviously I know what I'm doing on Mercari, right? Now, this is my second account. It's very easy to get a second account. Again, I will talk about that in this course as well. But so you can see I've made over 1,000 sales recently in the past year. I have over 14,000 listings. We're building it back up the right way this time. And as you can see, tons of reviews here, right? And here are the listings, right? Sold. 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 And we'll do one more. Just wanted to kind of show you sold. Tons of sold. Proof of concept. I know what I'm doing. I'm not just making this stuff up. I'm teaching from experience through what I've learned on the platform, making sales, making money, and obviously all of that is being drawn into this course and, given to you, right? So I'm not speaking just like you could do this. I'm speaking, I have done this and this is what's worked for me. So I hope it helps you, all right? So that's proof of concept. Let's jump into the course. When it comes to selling on Mercari, one of the biggest factors that determines whether or not your item sells isn't just your photos or your pricing, it's your SEO. your search engine optimization, and that is essentially how you're going to make sure that your listings are visible to the right buyers, both inside Mercari's search bar, but even outside on platforms like Google. I mean, think about how people actually shop. If someone's looking for a pair of shoes, they don't just type in cool sneakers. They often type something specific like Nike Air Max 10s size in black, right? Whatever it is, right? If your listing says men's sneakers, you're going to be missing out on being shown to the buyer who's ready to purchase, especially if your listing specifically fits that, right? So by including brand names, styles, colors, sizes, and item types, your title and your description are going to have better SEO, and you're giving your listing the best chance to match the exact keywords that buyers are typing in. Now on Mercari, SEO has two major benefits. First, inside the app, obviously, Mercari's algorithm is designed to connect buyers to what they're already searching for and then also suggest it on top of that. But the better your listing matches the keywords that they're using or the keywords that they have used in the past, the higher the chance is that your item is going to show up in their results, or whether that's search or suggested, right? That means more views, more likes, and more offers. And then second, outside of the app, just like Poshmark or eBay, for instance, Mercari buyers and Mercari listings often get indexed by Google. So when somebody searches Apple AirPods Pro with the case on Google, for instance, right, your Mercari listing could appear even if the person wasn't actively searching on Mercari. And that's what's going to give you exposure to a wider audience without any extra work. Good SEO. So now let's look at a specific example really fast, right? Imagine two sellers are listing the same purse. One titles theirs cute handbag, and the other titles theirs Coach leather shoulder bag, black and gold with hardware. Which one do you think is going to get found first, especially if a buyer is specifically searching for something like that? Obviously, the second one that's packed with searchable keywords that match what the real buyer is typing in and what their intent is, right? That's the power of SEO both on and off the platform. At the end of the day, SEO is about visibility. You could have the perfect product or the right price and amazing photos, but if nobody sees it, it's going to struggle to sell. But by using SEO the right way, you're not just creating listings, you're creating listings that get discovered. And in the world of reselling, being discovered is the first step to making the sale. Also, on top of that, obviously SEO is something that's super important and that you can do yourself or look at other listings that are relatable or whatever those specific brand names and item types are. But the cool thing and the easy thing that we all get to experience now is AI is so powerful and so easy to use. So whether you're using ChatGPT, Copilot, or whatever, you can just have AI write your description for you and make sure to tell it what the product is specifically and write a good SEO'd out description and title for you, and it will literally do that. So it could not be easier, and there's realistically no excuses to having a bad listing anymore. Almost no downside, but a ton of upside. Now, I'm going to give you a ton of different options. I'm going to give you some free options. The best options that I found are all right here. So in my opinion, the best options, hands down, are, especially when you're shipping non-priority, are poly mailers, right? Get a bunch of different poly mailer sizes. They are stupidly cheap, especially when you just buy them in bulk. And you can get big ones as well. Like I buy these ones all the time, so the 24-inch by 24-inch. You can fit a ton of different things in here. You can fit big things in here. You can fit massive things in here. And they work. And they obviously also close on their own, so you don't need to tape them, which makes them super convenient. I've gotten the small ones. I've gotten the big ones. Every size in between. Play around with poly mailers. I will link all of these things, and I'm going to recommend to this lecture as well. But play around with these. They're easy to ship. They're easy to close. And they're just super convenient. And they make your when you actually get sales, they make it look professional, right? So it's easy on you. It looks professional. You can't go wrong. And again, I will link all these to this lecture. Now, the next thing that you should get are some bulk tape, right? The reason I'm saying that is you don't want to go out and buy tape like this. Like if you're going to like Staples or you're paying for tape like this on Amazon, like that might look cheap, right? $11 for 6 of these. These things don't have much tape on them. They are super convenient with the red thing. So if you do have one of these red things, by all means use it and then just put your tape in that red thing. It's super easy to use. But you don't want to buy the tape here because you're going to be paying a premium for it and you don't want to do that. You are going to be using a ton of tape if you're starting to get a ton of sales, right? So, and that's a good thing, right? Because you want a ton of sales, but you're obviously going to need to pay for poly mailers or boxes and tape to obviously secure those things so that you can ship them. And again, that's a good problem to have. So do not buy tape like this. Instead, I recommend that you buy bulk tape. This is literally the one that I buy all the time. And I will link this as well. So just buy it in bulk. You don't need any dispensers or anything that comes with it. Just buy bulk tape. Whatever you want to do, I buy this one. And then what I recommend is just get a tape dispenser, whether you want one in your hand. I find that this is easier because you can rip off pieces and tape boxes a lot easier. The one in your hand, you have to kind of like press it down to release the tape and cut it. And if you're using something like a poly mailer, that often cuts into the poly mailer. You don't want that. So I like this one. It works better. Again, I'll link this as well, but get something like this, the tape dispenser and bulk tape, and you're going to be good for months, right? And then again, it looks like it's expensive, but you don't need to re-up ever again. It's going to be months from now where you have to re-up from this. And ultimately you're going to be paying, so much littler because you're buying it in bulk and you're not paying for those red cutters that come automatically on it. You're just buying it in bulk. And then get yourself a dispenser like this. It works really well, and it's going to make, again, shipping out convenient, because it's not just necessarily about the cost, although that is super important. It's also about the convenience and the ease of the shipping, right? Your process when you're shipping, you want it to be fast. You want it to be, you don't want it to be a hassle. You want it to be convenient, and this makes it convenient, and it's also affordable, all right? Now, the next thing, obviously, you want poly mailers, you want bulk tape and a tape dispenser. One thing that you want to use is you can use a normal printer if you want, right? Like if you're just starting and you don't feel like going out and buying a label printer or a thermal printer, then you can use a printer. I probably use my own printer, just like a normal DeskJet HP printer for the first year. But ultimately, that's not what you want to do for a ton of different reasons. First and foremost, every single time you print a label out, you're going to have to cut it out, which takes time, and it might not sound like it's a lot. It takes time to cut it out, and then it takes time to obviously tape it with your tape onto the actual package. And it doesn't secure as well with the tape on the package as if you did it with labels, right? So what I would recommend is, instead of using a printer, because with a printer, you're going to have to pay for ink all the time, which is stupidly expensive, right? Even cheap ink is stupidly expensive, and you constantly have to buy paper. I mean, literally, look at this. I stopped buying this on purpose. I still buy it because I still print stuff out, but I don't print as much paper for labels anymore. I purchased this so many times. Just one of these, you re-up this every single month, $63, right? It makes no freaking sense. You think you're saving money, but realistically, you're not. You're paying more and you're spending more time because you're not buying a thermal label printer. So what you want to do is you want to buy a thermal label printer. Again, if you don't want to do that in the beginning, that's fine, but I would recommend, save you time, save you money in the long run. It looks expensive, but it's going to save you a ton of money, because this is this is the one that I recommend. There are other cheaper options out there. If you scroll down anywhere, realistically, you can find one that's $56. I have one from TikTok Shop that's $45. But the cheaper ones don't work as well. They jam frequently, which is a freaking headache, and they break, right? This one's tried and true. Between this and the Dymo, those are the two that are recommended across the board for resellers, for dropshippers, for pretty much everybody that resells across the board. It's either a Rollo or a Dymo. The Rollo is the cheaper option, but I think realistically it works as well. That's why I recommend it. The Dymo's anywhere from $250 to $300, depending on the model that you're getting. So you're saving $100. You don't need to spend that much, in my opinion. I would just go with the Rollo here. This one works great. Again, I'll link it to this lecture for you. And this is going to allow you to print out shipping labels, which are these bad boys, right? And they just literally rip off, as you can see, if we click in this, they just rip off right here, and then they stick to the actual package. It's super easy to use them. It prints directly from the actual thermal printer. And not only do you not need to tape them, because they stick and they stay on packages very easily, which is basically when you order from Amazon, this is what they're using, right? They're sticking the label onto your package. That's what you're getting, right? So you should be using these and a thermal printer like this. And then you don't need to ever pay for ink again. This is a waste of money. Don't do this. One of these is $63. One of these is $160. And depending on the time that you're buying it, you might get it on sale or whatever. And it's going to save you money in the long run. If you plan on selling for even a few months, 3 months of this is that already, right? Is more than that already. So if you plan on selling for more than 3 months, you might as well just buy this, because then you don't ever have to pay for paper again, which is expensive. You don't ever have to pay for ink again, which is expensive, right? Instead, you just buy the thermal label printer. It literally uses heat. It burns the label in there. So it's using electricity. You don't have to pay for expensive ink. And it's more convenient because you can just pull this thing off and stick it to your boxes. You don't need to tape it and cut it out every time, which is going to save you a ton of time, right? If you have 20 orders a day, that's a lot of cutting and taping, and it's probably going to take you 30 minutes to do that. Realistically, you don't want to have to do that. I'm telling you, right? If you don't listen to me, that's fine. You can, again, cut costs in the beginning or what you think is cutting costs. But there's going to become a time where a month from now, 2 months from now, you're going to be sick of cutting labels and taping them and wasting money, and come back and buy the Rollo and get you some labels, right? So that's what I'd recommend. Don't use a normal printer unless you super want to in the beginning. You're not ready to upgrade. Use instead a thermal label printer. It's a game changer. The moment I decided to do this, I was so grateful. That was like 3 years ago, and I really wish I did it sooner. One of the best things I've done for my e-commerce business, just in general. Now, this one is the best, like I said. You're also going to want to potentially look in something like this. I have one just like this. It just holds the labels for you so that it kind of rolls through the printer. That way it doesn't get caught, because if you try to stick it on the side, or you try to stick it upside, like on its side like this way, or like up and down like the other way, it doesn't roll, right? And so you're going to constantly get jams. Don't do that. This is a cheap solution. Just get one of these that holds it, and then it will roll out. And when it's done, it will just kind of roll out. You don't have to worry about it. So get something that's going to hold your labels, get the label printer, and then obviously get the labels. Now, I buy these all the time because they're convenient. And again, they're stupidly cheap. Like, you get a bunch here for this amount. 450 labels, that comes out to like so cheap. There used to be a thing on UPS. Like, if you go to ups.com, they might still have it, where you can get free ones. So I would check that. For whatever reason, the past like 6 months or so, they haven't been there. So if you sign in, you actually need an account, right? You log in, you go to like shipping, products, and services. I forget the exact way to get there, right? But you just go to like the shipping supplies. And if you have an account on UPS, they will send you one free roll of these. I think it's like every month or every other month. But again, for whatever reason, they're not there anymore, at least at the time of recording this 6 months ago. Up until now, which is why I started buying them. But again, they're still stupidly cheap. So try UPS first. You can get them for free, hopefully. And if not, just come back to Amazon or somewhere else. Again, I'll link these, the ones that I literally buy. These work really, really well. All right. And you're going to want the 4x6s, okay? You don't want other sizes, the 4x6s. And now, the last thing here is you can also, in the beginning, like, I recommend buying the poly mailers, or using the any types of boxes like that, because it looks professional, right? But if you want to, and you're trying to cut costs in the beginning, everybody has a ton of Amazon boxes, whether you're drop shipping or whether you're ordering just resale supplies, or you're just ordering for yourself anyway. Like, everybody has Amazon boxes, so reusing them is an option for free. Like, you can put your products back in the Amazon boxes and tape them up. It doesn't always look the best, and it doesn't always look super professional, and you could, get an annoyed customer, or a customer that you might suffer rating wise, right? But sometimes you got to do what you got to do to keep costs low, especially in the beginning. And I get that. I use them from time to time, especially for like specific items that are a specific size and, convenient or whatever. So you can use Amazon boxes. However, if you do that, then you might want to look into some Google on here. What this is if you're having labels on your boxes that say like your name, or something else that are tough to get off because of the glue, then just put a little Goo Gone on it, leave it for like a minute or two, come back, and it'll peel right off. So you don't need much. This goes a long way. Like, a little goes a long way. Just a little bit of this works really, really well. So put some Goo Gone on it. Again, give it a few minutes, come back, it will chip right off. Now, one more thing that I didn't put on here that will help you. You don't need it, because you can just use like a knife or scissors and kind of nick it away. But one of those things, it's like a scraper for labels. I forget what they're called. Label scraper. I have a bunch. It's going to pop up here in a second. It's a razor blade scraper, and that's not what it's called. These things right here. Label and sticker remover. This is literally the same one I have, so I'll link this one for you as well. These things work so well. They just like slide, especially with the Goo Gone, they slide the label right up, and then it peels right off. So these things are perfect. So that's what I would look into if you plan on using Amazon boxes. Get some Goo Gone, get some of the sticker remover, but ideally you'd use some poly mailers. You would, again, get some bulk tape and a dispenser, and you would get a label thermal printer with some labels and a holder. All right. So that's everything that I use to ship. It's what works best for me. Highly recommend all these, and they will all be linked to this lecture. All right. So I want to cover really fast how to get free stuff to sell. Now, obviously, there's a large majority of ways that you can do this, right? So first and foremost, we're going to cover drop shipping later on in the course. That's an easy way that you can get a ton of free stuff to sell, and you don't obviously need to acquire the inventory ahead of time. But I want to give you some other ideas here, things that I've used in the past a ton, and ways that you can also get free stuff to sell. This is perfect for literally anybody, but of course, the people that, don't have a ton of funds to start in the beginning and are just kind of looking to start with that nest egg, build up an initial nest egg of like a few $100 to $1,000 with some free items that they're going to get. These are some great options for you, okay? And all of these as well are anecdotal, and they're things that I do myself or have done in the past as well. So I'm not just telling you could do these things. These are literally things that I have done and often still do, depending on which one. All right. So the first one is going to be cashback sites. This is a perfect example of a cashback site. It's called Rebate Key. So as you can see here, what Rebate Key is and what a cashback website is you sign up for this website, and these are going to be sellers on Amazon that have products, right? And you can see this one's free after a rebate, 100% off. This one's 97% off, and so on and so forth, right? Depending on when you sign up for this and when you actually sign on, a lot of the deals will go fast in the beginning and in the morning, right? And so you can sign up, you can claim a bunch of stuff and then get, your money back 100% or a lot of your money back 100%. Like this red light therapy right here, you could probably sell this for, it retails for 68, it's saying on Amazon. If you even listed this at like $50 or $40 and undercut that Amazon listing on Poshmark or on Mercari or Facebook, like wherever you want to list it, obviously, right? Wherever you're planning to resell this back, or multiple websites, you could list this and then resell it, very easily. And you only had to pay $2 for it, right? So those are perfect examples of things that you can obviously acquire. Now, the way that this works is, like I said, these are Amazon sellers, right? And their whole goal here is to get a review and get sales to rank their listings. So when you're an Amazon seller, there's two things that are going to move your listing up in search results and up in the pages ranking against other products. And that's ultimately how you're going to get organic sales in the future in perpetuity, and get a bunch of organic sales in the future is by ranking your products. So they're trying to give their products away. You're going to buy their product, right? And then after that, they're going to refund you the set amount. So this person's going to refund you the whole amount. This person's going to refund you 97%. This person's 84%, and you get the picture, right? There's a bunch of options, a bunch of products on this website, but there are also a ton of other websites. We'll talk about them here in a second. So how it works essentially is you'd sign up, you click on this after signing up, you would start the treasure hunt. Depending on how the seller set it up, it would tell you as soon as you click this to, okay, here's how you want to do it. You want to go and search for this specific keyword on Amazon, find this specific product. Then you would buy the product, you would come back, and you don't have to actually review the product. It used to be that you had to review the product, but now they can't force you to do that. So you can buy the product, give them your order ID number on Amazon to prove that you actually purchased the product, and then they will refund you as long as you don't return it within 35 days. So 35 days later, they'll give you a full refund. So you do need to front the money ahead of time, obviously, or put it on a credit card. But 35 days later, they will refund you in full, and all this is kept track of in the back end of Rebate Key, right? So sometimes you'll have to actually search for the product so that they can get credit for you searching for a specific keyword. Again, they will tell you all that stuff when you say go to Marketplace and buy product here. It will literally tell you what to do. So boom, it will tell me. Let me show you here in a second. Sometimes it will just give you the direct link to the product. Other times it will tell you, look, search for red light therapy on Amazon, find this specific product. And the reason that they're doing that is because they want to rank higher for red light therapy on Amazon, because that's a big search term, right? And then 35 days later, I will get, 97% of my $68 back. I would then input by verifying here. It's just next step. I would input my order ID number. I would buy the product and then prove it. And then 35 days later, they would give me the refund depending on what they agreed to, right? And all of this is kept track of right here in your dashboard, right? So upcoming payouts, disputes, and then obviously messages between you and the seller. And if they, for whatever reason, don't refund you the money that they were supposed to, you can just reach out to Rebate Key. Rebate Key will often... And if for whatever reason they don't refund you the money, you can just reach out to Rebate Key, the website, and Rebate Key will either prompt them to refund you the money, or they will refund you the money automatically themselves. So you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. Rebate Key acts as the middleman. These cashback websites act as the middleman. And again, you don't have to keep track of it. You used to, but like way in the past, you used to have to keep track of all this stuff on a spreadsheet and make sure that these people were paying you out. You don't have to do that because these websites will do it for you, okay? Now, Why is the refund in 35 days? Well, the refund is in 35 days because you can return a product on Amazon for 30 days, right? So often, if you don't return the product, then obviously that seller will see it and they'll refund you, right? And they'll refund you on a rebate key and give you your money back, right? Depending on whatever the rebate was. But if you return the product on Amazon, then they'll see that because you could purchase the product and then return it, and then they're going to give you free money, right? So that they obviously don't want that. They want you to keep the product because they want credit for the sale and you keeping the product, and then potentially getting a review as well. You can review these products. You don't have to, but that's how it kind of works, right? See how it keeps track of all this stuff. You can cancel the purchase. It will tell you if they refunded you and the status of it and everything else, right? So this is a great website where the sellers are obviously gaining advantage because they're getting sales and ranking for specific keywords and potentially reviews. If you want to review a few, that's fine. I wouldn't review all of them. You don't have to. And you're obviously getting free products that you can resell. Now, I always get a question here, like as we continue hunting for this and we go to the next one. Well, let's go back to a different one here. Let me show you. So as you click into this, it does say a few parameters, right? So let's go buy this product. Oh, it took me. So that's a perfect example of it just linking directly to the product right there where you'd actually buy it. Like when you actually click into some of these, it's going to tell you don't resell the product. The reason it's saying that is because a way in the past that you could make really good money is you'd get this product for free or at a heavy discount, then resell it back on the same Amazon listing, okay? So as long as you're not reselling these back on Amazon, then you won't run into issues, okay? You can resell them back on any other marketplace, just not Amazon. So don't worry about the no resell clause on here. It just means don't resell them back on Amazon, all right? But this is a great example of a website, Rebate Key in this specific example, that's a cashback website that you can get free products or heavily discounted products to resell for a ridiculously high profit margin. It doesn't cost you a ton. You just have to front the money and then you'll get it all back or most of it back. Now, here's a list of other cashback websites and rebate websites, okay? Now, keep in mind with a lot of these, I used to do this heavily in the past. Like 5-6 years ago, I used to do a ton of online arbitrage, and I would get like literally thousands of products on all these websites. So these have changed. A ton of these have changed. Like some of them might not be around anymore. Some of them might, still be around, like Rebate Key, obviously. Some of them might have changed, right? So don't just take this list and try these and be like, oh, some of these don't work anymore, and only Rebate Key or Extreme Rebate work or whatever. Try all of these websites that are listed here, and if they don't work, go with the ones that do, and then also ask ChatGPT, Google other ones, right? Like I'm not going to go out and do product research for you and find all the newest websites every single month, but they're constantly popping up because there's constantly Amazon sellers that are looking for people like this, and there's constantly other entrepreneurs that are trying to start websites to charge Amazon sellers to give you free products so that they can rank, right? So new ones are launching constantly, so you're going to have to constantly, depending on when you're watching this and when you're starting this course, you're going to want to constantly try to search out every month, find new websites. They're constantly launching. You just need to find them, all right? So obviously went over Rebate Key. Let's check if Extreme Rebate really fast is still around. I used to use this one a ton. It was my favorite one. They might have since gone out of business. I'm not sure. Let's check. Let's just Google it. Extreme Rebate. Amazon. Oop. So they might have changed to Rebate. Rebate Key's another one. And you get the picture, right? So it doesn't look like Extreme Rebate's around anymore. They might have just rebranded to Rebate. But it's, again, right here. Like cashback, 90% cashback, 80%. There's probably a bunch of free items here on these websites, right? So just look. That's another one, Rebate. I would use these to try to find some. And then obviously do your own research. There's a bunch out there that are not on this list. Here's some other ones for other countries as well, depending on where you're trying to sell, right? Also, review groups on Facebook, very easy way. So if we just go to Facebook, you can search for like Amazon review groups or Amazon free products. There are a ton of groups here that, again, are sellers looking for Amazon reviews, reviewer community, 17,000 people, and there's literally Amazon Vine reviewers. There's a bunch, right? And so there's a ton of people giving away these products for free in these groups. Now, because you're in a Facebook group, you do need to keep track of stuff yourself, and you do need to verify that the sellers are obviously giving you the money back via PayPal and that they're giving you what they agreed on, right? Like, for example, like if you agree to buy something for $40 and the seller says they'll give you 100% refund, make sure that they give you $40 back and not, 38 or 36 or whatever the case is that you agreed upon, right? You can also give them a direct PayPal link. That's an easiest way to do it. A lot of people will do that. A lot of them will even give you money ahead of time. Now, you don't really run any risks here. Like, you do run into the occasional nefarious seller that will kind of try to screw you over. Occasionally. It's rare. I used to, do this all the time and get thousands of products out of review groups. Not necessarily this one, but just like a bunch in general. Search for Amazon review groups, search for free products, free Amazon products, stuff like that, right? And in these groups, you will want to run into, like, 95% of people are just going to give you the product or have you purchase the product, and then they'll refund you, within 5 days, 10 days, or whatever, if you don't return the product, right? And they want a review for it, right? Or you might say, like, hey, I'm not comfortable giving a review, but I'll obviously buy the product or go for search terms. And some of them, every once in a while, will try to screw you over, like I said, but that's not an issue, because remember when I told you about, like, on Rebate Key, you can always return a product within 30 days on Amazon? You could always return the product. So, for example, you buy a product and it's $40, and the seller says that they're going to refund you, but then they never do, and 15 days goes by. You can be like, well, screw you, I'm just returning this product. And then you could even return it and give the seller bad feedback. So they have more to lose than you do here on these groups. So just keep track of everything. And if they try to screw you over, return the product, get all your money back. It's totally fine. It's very easy to do on Amazon. Again, within 30 days, you can return any product and then just review them bad, right? Like, literally give them bad seller feedback. You can even threaten them to do that, and they'll know that that's a possibility. And then most of them will refund you, right? But again, I just wanted to touch on that because it can be an issue that you run into, but it's few and far between. Like, 95% plus of people that you're going to deal with in these groups understand that fact, and they're not going to try to screw you over. So they're going to give you your money back. They're not going to do any funny business. So again, cashback websites, very, very great spot to get free products or discounted products. Same thing with Facebook groups. Just search for like Amazon reviews or free Amazon products. Another great place. Now, the next place is, I'm not trying to plug it, but the next great place is just TikTok affiliate samples. So TikTok affiliates, if you don't know what it is, you sign up for TikTok affiliates on TikTok, obviously, and then often sellers will send you free products so that you can make review videos on them. And then the whole key is, if you get a sale using, like, making a video linking to their product, it's the same thing as affiliate marketing, but it's just on TikTok. And other people are watching your videos, and then they end up buying that product linked in your video. You get a commission, and you obviously don't need to sell the product. You're selling it for somebody else, but you just link to their product like affiliate marketing. And if you get the sale, then you might get $3 commission, $8 commission, $10 commission, whatever. But because sellers obviously get the advantage on TikTok of other people making videos for them to try to sell, so it takes the work off of their part. They're just giving an affiliate commission. Often they will send a bunch of free products in the beginning. I've literally gotten thousands of free products on TikTok affiliate. It is a great way to do it, not just for free products for this to resell, which is a phenomenal way. You can make a ton of money doing that for real, but also making money on TikTok affiliate. It's one of the best things to do right now in e-commerce in general. It's just great. So again, I'm not trying to plug it, but this is the best place to do it. I launched a TikTok affiliate jumpstart course because it's something I do heavily. You can go to learnecom.net. The first thing that's going to pop up is the TikTok affiliate jumpstart. It will take you to my Teachable course, which is right here. And this is stupidly cheap. You just enroll, and you don't have to pay a full price by enrolling either. It's not $1,000. It's telling you that you can make $1,000 in affiliate commissions fast. And as you can see, it's only $195, but because you're enrolled in this course, you don't have to pay that. I'm going to give you a 50% off discount link just because you're already enrolled in this course, and that will help you out a ton. I will link that to this course. Also, you can just use the discount code JUMPSTART50. So that is JUMPSTART50, and plug that right in here in the coupon code, and it will drop it 50% off for you. All right. I will also link it directly to this lecture if you want to go ahead and get it that way. But again, this is a very great way to get free products. I'm not trying to plug this. It's just, I put it together like a few months back because it's literally what I do, and this is the best place to go. All right. So enough about that, but that's a great option for you. So TikTok affiliate samples, phenomenal way. Now, the next two ways that I want to talk about are OfferUp and Facebook Marketplace free, okay? So we covered Facebook review groups when we talked about cashback products on these websites like Rebate Key, for example. But another great way is just go to Facebook Marketplace and go to OfferUp and check out their free stuff. Now, I did this a ton in the past when I was like first coming up like 15 years ago. It was a great way to do it. Same thing with Craigslist, which Craigslist isn't really kind of around in that aspect anymore, but Facebook Marketplace and OfferUp still are. And then even like 5 years ago, because I used to teach online arbitrage a lot, I would get a lot of pushback from my students like, oh, I can't do this, or oh, I'm not comfortable, like whatever the case is, oh, I'm not able to get these products. And so I got kind of fed up with it. And I was like, screw it. I'm going to make a video of myself doing this to prove that you can get free products on these websites very easily if you just try. And I actually did, right? So what I did is I went and searched free products on Facebook Marketplace and on OfferUp. I ended up getting like 800 books from some guy that was it was kind of sad. His mother just passed away. She was old and he was cleaning out her house. And he was just looking for somebody to come and take all the books that were in the basement. And I literally contacted him, and like that same day drove. It was like 15 minutes away, went to the house, grabbed the books out of the basement, and packed up like I think it was like 5 or 6 big totes of these books. And I ended up selling them all. It was like 800 books. Some of them sold for like literally $1.99 on Amazon and helped me rank my Amazon account. But some of them sold for like 20. $40. Some of them sold for one of them. It was called The Rape of Lock. It was weird. It was like this purple book, sold for $800. I got that for free, and that was a complete dream at the time. Like I wasn't expecting to do that, but I got a free book to resell for $800. Not to mention 800 other books, roughly. I forget what the actual number was. To resell. And again, some of them sold right away. Some of them sold like a week later. Some of them didn't sell for like a year, but it was like $40 here, $50 there, $80 here, whatever the case is, right? So you definitely can do that. And in the very next video, I'm going to talk about that video that I made and how my experience with that and how to do that. So you can do it. You can meet up with people on these websites. Another example of this that you see on Facebook Marketplace all the time is people offering free couches. So like if you're just trying to get rid of something, or I gave away something free the 2 months ago. It was like a bunch of rocks outside because the old owners of my house had a bunch of rocks around a tree. Well, we cut the tree down. We ended up giving a bunch of rocks away. And those rocks are expensive. Like gardeners, landscapers, they buy those rocks. They're like hundreds of dollars. They're expensive, but I don't want them. And I don't want to have to go throw them out at a dump or put them in. They were like super heavy. So I literally put them free by the curb and put a listing on Facebook Marketplace. They were gone in like 30 minutes. Like someone grabbed them. They were expensive. They were worth a lot of money. So same thing with a couch. Same thing with like old workout equipment. I put a basketball net out front of my house, put it up for free. I put an old bicycle, like it was like an ergonomic bike for workouts because we didn't have enough space in our home gym for it. So I put that out by the curb. That was like a $300 bike. I just didn't feel like getting rid of it. I didn't feel like hauling it away and didn't feel like paying somebody to haul it away for me. So I put it for free on Facebook Marketplace. Somebody bought that, probably used it for their home gym, but you could be that person to go pick that up or the couch or whatever and flip it for money. That is like a big business now. People flipping couches that they find for free on Facebook Marketplace or OfferUp for hundreds of dollars for literally a couch that they got for free, just because somebody doesn't know how to get rid of that couch and they're going to have to pay a company to come haul it away, right? So you can haul it away for free, resell it, and make a ton of money, right? How do you get that? Well, you can obviously just look through the listings, or you can scroll down on Facebook Marketplace on mobile or on a computer, look at free stuff, and boom, free poker table, free couch, free sectional, just what I was talking about right there, free lumber, you could resell that, free bike, another example, free identical bookcases, like this free freaking piano if you can move it, like that's probably worth like $1,000 or $2. That's probably right here, this Pokemon lot. Like every once in a while you'll find like a listing like free car. These people are trying to sell these, so don't bite into these things. Like no one's giving away free Pokemon. See, like not free selling around Marketplace. We'll give a little bit. Like these are obviously, this person's trying to sell this car. They're not giving it away for free, obviously, right? But like this is, if you can just get this out of this person's basement, they probably just want it gone. And upper and lower body equipment must pick up and disassemble. So if you can disassemble this and take it away, you can have it for free, right? Like that's a bad example because that's tough. But like something like this bookcase or this like chair right here, free, need gone, 100% free. You could resell this and relist this back on somewhere for like $95. And then like you store it, you go pick it up, and then maybe 2 months from now, it sells for $95. It's a free $95 that you made literally for just picking it up because this person doesn't want it anymore. Like this is so easy. My father-in-law listed a pool table from his basement And he had it on Facebook Marketplace for free for like a week, and eventually some guy picked it up. He didn't want to use the pool table, but he wanted to use the slab on that the pool table was like underneath the felt. I guess that slab of marble or whatever it's called is worth a ton of money, and none of us knew that. So he picked it up, and then once it was in his truck, we asked him like, "Oh, where are you gonna put it?" And he was like, "Oh, I actually don't even want the pool table. I'm gonna resell the material, and it's worth a lot of money." So you can make good money doing this on Facebook Marketplace and OfferUp. People are literally giving stuff away for free because they want it out of their houses. Go pick it up, resell it, relist it. It's super easy to do. This is tried and true. I used to do this all the time. And again, I did it 5 years ago just to prove a point that you still can. And I guarantee you still can right now. All right. Same thing with OfferUp. You're going to see free stuff on here all the time. They also have a, like once you're logged in, you can also do this on mobile. You can literally see free stuff. There's a category that's free. So those are all the ways, right? So to recap, we have cashback websites. Here's a list of all of them. Again, don't stop at this list. Don't stop at Facebook group. Like also go to Facebook groups and Facebook review groups to get free products as well. But don't stop at this list. Search for your own. They're constantly updating, constantly launching new ones. All right. Second thing is TikTok affiliates. Again, not trying to plug it. I hate plugging like courses in these lectures and everything, but this is the best place to start. I guarantee you're going to get hundreds of products very quickly and be able to make good money on TikTok affiliate, and then also be able to resell those products for a ton of money. So that's a great way. Again, link to this lecture, or you can just use the coupon code JUMPSTART50 and enroll, and you save 50% off, right? The next thing is free on Facebook Marketplace and free on OfferUp. Two phenomenal ways to get a ton of free products all the time, constantly, that you can resell for a ton of money. And then in the next video, we're going to jump into my experience doing that, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the books and that story there. All right, so we covered how to get free stuff and sometimes cheap stuff. Now I want to cover how to get a ton of cheap stuff to resell, all right? There's a bunch of different ways. The first one is liquidation websites. So same thing with liquidation websites as the cashback websites and what I talked about. You obviously don't just want to stop at this list. I'm going to give you a ton and I'll scroll through them slowly. You can obviously pause and write these down and then kind of, try to, go through. I will also link all these Word documents with all of these websites listed to these lectures for you, so you don't have to go out and search them. But again, don't just stop at these, because there are a ton out there. These are just literally like, 20 or so, maybe 30. There are a bunch. So go out there and look for your own liquidation websites. Go out there and look for your own cashback websites. Go out there and look for your own coupon websites. They're constantly updating, and we're going to talk about coupon websites here in a second. So what is a liquidation website? A liquidation website is a site that either makes their money buying bulk products and then reselling them to you guys or me or resellers, or often what a liquidation website is somebody that gets liquidation products from a retail website or a retail store or Amazon, for example. So let's say a perfect example. Amazon has a bunch of stuff. They need to liquidate their inventory. Maybe a listing goes, maybe the seller stops selling a listing or whatever the case is, or they get a bunch of returns that are like partially open that they can't resell as new. Well, often what they'll do is they'll package all them up in a pallet. They'll resell it to a liquidation company for pennies on the dollar just to get some money back for it and to liquidate their inventory so they don't have to store it in their facility anymore. What that liquidation website will do in this case, in this example, is maybe they're buying that pallet for $100 and it's got a bunch of products on it. They're going to resell it to us for like $300 or $400, make a decent amount of money, and then we are still getting it for not maybe pennies on the dollar, but maybe dimes on the dollar, maybe nickels on the dollar, and still be able to make a ton of money because you're buying these products, right? Same thing would be another perfect example, like let's say Target has a bunch of clothes and they over anticipated how many, of a specific sweater that they could sell, right? And they purchased and put 1,000 of those units in a store or stores, right? And for whatever reason, they were only able to sell 100. The demand was, way under what they expected. Well, instead of just keeping them or throwing them out, often what they'll do is they'll move on from that product that they decide it's not working out. They'll sell it to a liquidation company for like, $1 a sweater instead of, the $30 that they were retailing at or $40 that they're retailing at or whatever. And then that liquidation company will buy each for $1, sell a bunch of them back to you and me if we want to resell them for $3 or $5 or whatever. And then again, there's still a ton of margin to be made from us if you're willing to do that, right? And this is a great way to get very cheap inventory to resell, and it's one of the best ways that I was able to resell a ton of products in the beginning is by using liquidation websites, right? So again, there's a ton of them out there. there's a list here for you. But again, don't just stop here, look through this list, and then go out there and find them. There are thousands of these websites. It's crazy. Now, when I used to do this a ton, my favorite website was 888 Lots. I haven't bought a pallet on here in a while, but I used to buy pallets here all the time. The thing about this that I like is they'll sell you individual items here, but you do need to buy a certain amount of individual items. They're also very cheap lots, and you can buy lots just in specific categories. So for example, you want to go through and look at, books or movies, then you can do that. If you want to go through and look at pet supplies, for an example, let's click there, then you can do that, right? And there's individual pet supplies that you can buy here, and they're literally selling it. So like this Arm & Hammer for $278. The Amazon price is $6. This is Amazon's price is $190 for this, expandable dog remote trainer. Well, they're going to give it to you for $98. And one of the cool things about this website is you can also make offers, right? I know that these Seresto things right here are expensive. I bought one for my dog literally like 3 months ago. You can get this for $23 here. It retails for $60. Like that's a good price there. Now, the singular items like we talked about, it's going to be a lot easier if you're trying to resell them back on a website because obviously what it retails for. But where you're really going to make your money on these liquidation sites are on the pallets. So when you think of liquidation pallets from a liquidation company, a lot of people often think like you're going to need a loading dock, you're going to need like a big truck, you're going to need something to receive these big ass pallets. But that's not the case. Often, all a liquidation pallet is it's a package of different things together, right? So a liquidation pallet can be a box of like 30 items, right? I used to buy literally small pallets like that all the time. It doesn't have to be this big pallet that like is saran wrapped that has thousands of items on it that you're going to need like a mover to actually move for you and receive. Often it's just a big box of stuff, right? So don't overthink it and make sure that you're looking into it. So let's look at some of the lots here or some of the special deals. They have a ton. So they have a 94 lots in other, 4 in personal care and beauty, a few in office and school supplies. They also have it lots by size, so like under 50 units. Perfect example of what I'm talking about there. Medium, 50 to 200. Like these are two that you can receive literally anywhere probably. Over 200 units, if they're small, you might be able to receive. If they're bigger, then obviously that's something you're going to need like a truck or like a loading bay or something for their truck to actually drop it off, right? But like if you're buying under 50 units or 50 to 100 or 50 to 200, like that's probably just a big box or a few big boxes that they'll ship to you very easily, okay? So let's check just as an example. Let's go like lots by size. And it's literally going to tell you right here, like this is 2 boxes of 325 grocery products. Retails roughly at $500. You can get this for $167. And again, you don't just have to accept this $167 price. You can make them an offer and be like, hey, I'll buy it for $115. And they'll tell you no or yes almost instantly. It's automatic on the website. So if they can obviously make a decent money on it or it's break even, then they'll probably accept it for you, right? Here's another big example. This retails on Amazon for $105,000. You can buy this one right here. It's a ton of different products for, almost 10 grand. And this is probably like electronics here as an example. But let's find one that's like medium. So like this one's $84 or $85. It retails on Amazon for like $361. Let's just check it out. What is it? Well, the lot manifest, you're getting whey standard protein right here, 10 pounds. That's worth a ton of money. I buy that all the time. Honestly, might buy this right here just because that's literally like $85 is like what this is worth. And then you're getting all these for free. Then you're getting hazelnut milk chocolate in here. You're getting espresso version. I'm going to literally buy this. I'm buying this right now. I'm going to buy this right here on camera. This is a phenomenal one. I could use this deodorant. I literally use these all the time, every single day. I have a coffee right next to me, literally with this Nespresso right here. And then the whey right here, like this is all... I'm just luckily going to buy this just because I'm going to use all this stuff. But your goal here is to resell this, right? So it's going to give you the ASIN on Amazon so you can literally see the product listing, which is a game changer. And again, right here, this sells for $45. You are getting one of those. The unit price is $209. Oh, this is the 10 pounder. That's why. So right here it's 2 pounds, but the 10 pound is right here. 10 pound for $160, but again, they don't have the strawberry in flavor. So this one retails for $160. You're going to get this one, just literally the whole pallet of this, the whole box for $85, which is a game changer. This right here. So if, for example, like if you wanted to resell this and buy this and resell this, you can relist this back on any website for like $95. Probably sell it super fast because it's literally worth like almost double that. And then you'd have $10 profit on your pallet already with all these other things to resell, right? So that's how it kind of works. What I always used to teach and these are also worth a ton of money, these virtual ones, like just to show you that I'm not like just making this stuff up. Like, look how many times I purchased this. All right, well, these ones aren't here, but these Bianco capsules, like, let me go into my orders just to show you, because I don't want to just be like talking out the side of my mouth and you guys are like, oh, he's just making this up. Like, no, I literally drink these all the time. It's crazy. So boom, we got an espresso virtual here, these same exact ones. And to show you, I buy protein all the time. Like 58 freaking times. I just bought this 4 days ago. It's retails for $42 for the 3-pack of those, right? So I think this one's the 2-pack, but still, yeah, it's a 2-pack of them. So I mean, you cut that by a third. What was it? I don't know, $25, maybe a little bit more, and you're getting how many of those? 2 of them. So there's another one that's going to retail for more. I'm literally going to buy this pallet. It's crazy. But like, I bought this one, Optimum Nutrition. I buy protein all the time from Optimum Nutrition. It's a phenomenal thing. And you can, there you go, bang. It just never ends. But so this is an example of a pallet. I'm literally going to buy this, so I want to keep this pallet. But let me show you another example as we go through some liquidation pallets. And again, this is just one example of a website that you can utilize. There are a ton, and don't just stop at this list. Keep searching. Like, it does not end. There's a bunch of liquidation websites, right? This is another great way. So let's look at some other lots. We'll go small, and we'll look at one more. Let's check this one out, this $167 one. What's in here? Looks like, so these are other items. You're getting gum, you're getting coffee. Oh, this is like the grocery. I'm not a grocery guy, and obviously you don't want to resell them on some different websites. If your plan is to resell them back on like Amazon, that's one thing, but that's probably not ideal for here. So let's check this $420 one right here. You get shoes, you get Sperry's. Those are worth $54. This one right here is MSRP's for $426, and it's literally going to pretty much cover the cost of this pallet right here. So let's take a look at it. What does it actually retail for on Amazon? And again, they're going to outline all this for you, literally giving you the ASIN and product listing on Amazon. And then you could take not just obviously this product, but you could take these pictures, you could take this listing and then relist it. It makes it super simple. So even used right here, this is $356. It's a waterproof camera. Resell this. This is a new. Oh, it's damaged. So the condition's damaged. So you might need to resell this as like used new. I usually typically avoid those. As you can see on these are all brand new. So I usually go after brand new pallets. I'm not going to go after and resell damaged or like used. Like sometimes you'll get like partially, worn clothing. So I would avoid that lot there just because it has, damaged products. But you get the picture, right? So this is a phenomenal way. I don't want to waste too much of your time. This is a phenomenal way to get a ton of inventory very quickly for stupidly cheap. And just to show you on 888 lots, like you can negotiate the price. Like, what am I willing to pay? I don't want to pay $85. I'm willing to pay $65. Hooray, my offer was sent successfully. I'll be notified and it'll review it. It usually takes 1 to 2 business days to process it. Bang. And if, for example, like sometimes it will auto accept it and sometimes it will tell you like immediately like, no, doesn't work. Sorry. So let's cancel it. We'll try again just to kind of show you. Let's negotiate. Let's say 75. Hooray, it was sent successfully. Like if I cancel this and then I offer $10, it's probably just going to immediately tell me like, no thanks. Yeah, sorry, but your offer is lower than the amount we can possibly consider. So if they're going to consider an offer, obviously it'll tell you right away like no, or they'll get back to you and tell you. Sometimes it'll auto accept you. Like if I offer 80 here, it might just auto accept me. We'll see. Hooray, my offer was okay. Well, rude. But I'm going to buy this anyway. But this is a great website. Obviously, 888 lots, but there's a ton of liquidation websites. I've been talking, for a while here, so I apologize. I just got excited about that one lot, and I'm literally going to buy it. Now, what is the next way that you can get cheap stuff to resell? So coupon websites. They're a lot like cashback websites, right? So coupon websites are very similar to cashback websites in that it's the same overall strategy that Amazon sellers have these products on websites. They're trying to get you to buy them so that they can rank them or potentially search for search terms. So again, they can rank them. Same thing as the cashback websites, right? The only difference is with cashback websites, you're paying for the product up front and then they're reimbursing you a certain amount. So say a product's $40, you're going to pay $40 for that product. $35 days later, or 5 days later, if it's like a Facebook group or whatever, they're going to give you that $40 back via PayPal or something like that, right? Whereas coupon websites, you're getting a coupon upfront to purchase it for a lot less, right? So that same $40 product, maybe you get a coupon to purchase it for $10, right? And then maybe you get a coupon to purchase it for $5. So you're literally getting a $35 coupon to purchase it for a lot less, so that you don't get any money back later, but you only have to spend a certain amount of money, right? So there are a ton of these coupon websites. They're constantly changing. Again, don't just stop here. But I used to do this a ton. I made literally over 6 figures doing this one year, just getting coupon products. And granted, this was before a lot of people knew about these, so like I really hopped on the trend fast. But you can still find good products here and still resell them online. The only caveat is just like the cashback websites, do not resell these back on Amazon. You can resell them anywhere else, right? So another example of like, don't just stop here, is this is Vipon, right? It used to be Vipon.com, but if you just went to Vipon.com, it doesn't work anymore, right? It tells you that it's not in, it doesn't, like it's not around, right? Oh, no Vipon, right? But if you just search Google for Vipon, you would know that they just rebranded and changed to My Vipon, right? And now you can find them. So don't stop just at this list. It's just to give you a few ideas. Same thing with the cashback, same thing with the liquidation ones, right? Don't stop here. Also Google, also ask ChatGPT, ask AI, like what are the best new coupon websites? They're constantly launching new ones every single month. Do not just stop at this list. But here's an example of Vipon. Just to show you, you're getting promo codes for like 76% off. So this one normally retails right here for $27. You get it for $6.50. This one right here, 50% off, 50% off, 70% off. And every once in a while, you'll see like 100% off or 99% off or 95% off. Like you're going to get some good deals on here. Just you have to be willing to look around. And again, same thing with the cashback websites. The earlier you sign on in that morning, the better the deals are going to be before people take them, right? Because with a lot of the cashback websites, like often it's open-ended, but with a lot of the coupon websites, they only set a certain amount of coupons, so you want to get in there fast, right? And you can obviously, sort through. What I'll do is, I'm not logged in right now, but what you can do is you can sort for price low to high or discount high to low. That's always a good one too. And then right now, keep in mind it's 10:30 already. But this one's 83% off, 80% off, and you get the picture, right? So there's a bunch of good options here. This one's literally $70 headphones. It's 75% off, right? So phenomenal opportunity to get a bunch of cheap products here with coupon websites. Also liquidation websites, like I said, and I will link these lists of these websites to this lecture for you, just like I will do with the cashback ones from before. Now, 2 other ways to do it really fast are garage sales. You can literally just search for garage sales in your area, or you can keep an eye out for them. And those are great places where you can find stupidly cheap products. Like I have found literally like $1 for certain electronics, $1 for like $5 for like a jersey. I bought an Ohtani jersey from somebody like 2 years ago when he was first, like he was originally a rookie, and bought an Ohtani jersey for like, I think it was like $5 at the time, because they were trying to liquidate and get rid of some stuff. It was like a summer clean out or a spring cleaning like garage sale, and I literally resold that like a month later back on I think it was eBay. I don't remember where I sold it, but for like $100 or $120, like it was a vintage legit jersey. They were just trying to get rid of it. So garage sales, phenomenal place. Gary Vee obviously talks about that a ton. And then stuff around your house. Like we all have a ton of stuff around our house. Like just looking around the room, I know you can't see me right now because I'm recording on the computer, but just looking around the room, like there are a ton of things that I could sell in this room that would be worth a ton of money, right? Like same thing with you in your house, in your apartment, wherever. Everybody has way too much stuff that they can sell. Like I guarantee you, no matter who you are, there's a 99% chance that you have at least $1,000 sitting around your house that you don't use anymore. Think of old movies, think of old video games, think of old electronics, think of things that you're not using anymore that you can sell. Think of old clothes, or like literally shoes sell for. I saw I had a bunch of cologne. I sold that cologne, made like $1,000 literally just on cologne. You can sell pretty much anything around your house that you're not using, list it. And in the very next lecture, I'm going to talk about how I literally did this in the beginning. Like I started when I was first starting out, I resold a bunch of stuff and made a bunch of money. I also, like, again, just like that same book example, when I was doing the Craigslist free, the Facebook Marketplace free, the OfferUp free, and I got all those books and one of them sold for $800. I literally did this because people were telling me that I only have like $100. I only have like a few things I can sell. And I was like, listen, There's a million things that you can actually go out and sell in your house, and I went and proved it, and I made a video about it. So in the next video here, in the next lecture, I'm going to talk about that video because it's old. I want to just kind of cover my experience with that. So game changer, guys. These are, I guess, 4 ways: liquidation websites, coupon websites, garage sales, and sell stuff around your house. Again, obviously, selling stuff around your house is finite. You only have a certain amount of things that you can resell around your house, but I guarantee you have at least $1,000 profit sitting around your house right now that you can make within the next month or two if you just list things that you don't even use anymore or don't really care about that much. So one of the biggest obstacles that I hear from new sellers is, but I don't have any money to get started. And honestly, in my opinion, that is just an excuse 99% of the time. You don't need a big budget to start selling on any resale platform. In fact, one of the simplest and most effective ways to get your first inventory is completely free. So here's how it works, all right? You go on Facebook Marketplace, you go on OfferUp, and you filter the listings by free. Every single day, people are giving away stuff that they don't want anymore. Clothing, home goods, books, shoes, electronics, you name it. They just want somebody to pick it up often so that it's out of their house and they're doing like spring cleaning or something like that, right? And that is exactly where you come in, right? You go, you pick it up, you bring it home, and you list it. It's free inventory that you can flip for pure profit. Now, every time I say this, I get pushback instantly, and people tell me that it doesn't work in my area or nobody gives away good stuff for free. But here's the truth, okay? It absolutely works, and I've done it myself. Now, not only will I talk about a brief example a few years ago that I did when I wanted to prove this exact point, but also I'm going to give you several other examples in this course on how you can get free and cheap inventory as well. So there are literally no excuses, all right? But a few years ago, I did want to prove this exact point because I used to get pushback all the time. So I went on Facebook Marketplace. I found a post where somebody was giving away boxes and books for free. Their mom had passed away and she was old. Like, she had a basement full of books, and the guy, I think he was like in his 50s or 60s, was kind of cleaning out the family home, and he just wanted the books gone and out of the basement. I drove over, I picked them up, and suddenly I had hundreds of items to list. I forget how many books it was. It was probably like 500-600 books, okay? Now, I ended up selling those books across several different platforms, from Poshmark, eBay, Mercari, Amazon, and a number of others, and I made some decent money. And in fact, one of those books was actually worth $800, and it sold on Amazon for $800, okay? Now, that is $800 for something that I got for free. And I'm not saying that that's always going to be the case, but that is the power of it. You just never know, okay? And the entire thing there was this entire experience is documented on my YouTube channel for this day. It is still up there, and although it is an older video, it is still up there, completely documented for you to see, so I could obviously point to this and be like, hey, I've done this, so I know that you can, okay? The point is, even if you don't watch that, obviously, is you can sit around making excuses or you can take action. Free inventory is out there. It might be books, it might be clothes, it might be furniture, it might be something else, right? But people are giving stuff away for free all the time, and all you need to do is go get it, take some photos, list it, and start building momentum, okay? That is how you start your business without spending a dime. This is one of the fastest and easiest ways to break through the I don't have money barrier. And once you start flipping free items into sales, you'll then have cash to then reinvest into better inventory. And that's how you can start building from absolutely nothing. So don't let excuses hold you back. If I can pick up free books and flip one for $800 and then obviously sell the rest, you can pick up free inventory in your area and start making sales too. So one of the biggest excuses that I hear from people who want to start reselling is, I don't have any money to buy inventory. And my response to that is always the same. You don't need money to get started. There are actually 2 simple ways to begin without spending a dime. So first, you can drop ship. Now, drop shipping requires no upfront money. And later in this course, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to do it, step by step, with multiple different methods. But even if you don't want to drop ship right away or at all, that's totally fine. There's another simple option that anybody can take advantage of, and you can start listing things around your house, all right? Now, the reality is almost everybody has $1,000 worth of inventory sitting right in their home that they are not using, that they don't need, or they probably don't even think about it anymore, right? Now, that could be old clothes in your closet, shoes you never wear, movies, electronics, books, kids' toys, kitchen gadgets, video games, whatever, okay? You name it, there's a ton of stuff around your house. Now, all of these things are potential inventory that you can sell right now. I know this because I've done it myself. When I got started reselling over like 15 years ago on eBay specifically and on Amazon, I didn't go out and buy a bunch of products myself to resell them. I just looked around my house. That was the first thing that I did. I found cologne bottles that I barely used. I found shoes that had been sitting in my closet for years that I barely wore. I found football jerseys and soccer jerseys that I wore maybe once every other year, and all kinds of other random stuff that I did not need anymore. I listed it all, and I ended up making a few $1,000s in profit just from things that I already had lying around my house. And a few years ago, I even did a video experiment to, again, prove this and do it all over again. I wanted to show people that almost anybody could start this way. So I listed things from around my house currently. At that time, it was an apartment. And sure enough, it worked, okay? The inventory is there. You just have to find it and you have to take action, all right? So in most cases, if your excuse is I don't have the money to buy products, I want you to throw that excuse out right now. You already have products. You just don't think of them as inventory yet. But once you start looking around your house with a reseller's eye, you'll see opportunities everywhere, all right? Now, obviously, there's stuff around your house, but I gave you also the opportunity to drop ship. That's something that we'll cover in this course. You're going to learn about cashback and coupon websites, and you also obviously will learn about Facebook Marketplace and offer up free. There is no excuse. You can definitely get started and build up an initial nest egg of money. This is the easiest way, hands down, to get started, though. Look around your house, resell stuff that you already have, all right? It's an easy way to get started. It's an easy way to build momentum, and it's an easy way to generate cash that you can reinvest back into your business to scale even further. You don't need to wait. You don't need to overthink it, and you don't need a big budget or realistically any budget at all to get started. You just need to start with what you already have and let that be the launch pad for everything else that we're going to cover in this course, all right? So figure that out, take action, pick either dropshipping, look around your house, or go contact people on Facebook Marketplace or OfferUp, or start cashback or coupon arbitrage. There's a ton of methods. So in this lecture, I'm going to teach you how to dropship on Mercari. Mercari is one of those, a lot like Poshmark, that is super promising if you're doing retail dropshipping. Now, there are a few things, just like Poshmark, that you need to understand if you plan on dropshipping on Mercari effectively. But if you start dropshipping on Mercari, there's no reason that you can't be making a few $1,000s a month or two from now if you scale it up the correct way with the correct products and you don't try to jump the gun, okay? I'm going to outline 2 ways that you can do it effectively here in this tutorial, but just understand the nuances of Mercari and then scale consistently and you'll be fine. Now, there's 2 main ways that you're able to dropship on Mercari, okay? So the first is direct to the customer, just like anything else, right? So if we're on Facebook Marketplace, for example, we've covered like how you can just list products and then ship them directly to the customer from your supplier and then input the tracking number. You don't actually have to be the middleman. You can do the same thing on Mercari. However, there are some nuances involved with that, okay? You need images, first and foremost, that don't look stock photo-y, because on Mercari, they're really touchy about stock photos being in your listing, okay? I used to recommend that you only need 1 review image on the front, and then the rest can be stock images, and that can still work to a certain degree, but I would take it a step further even, and just go all review images or all photos that look like they've been taken by an actual person on an actual camera that don't look stock photo-y, a lot like this, right? This is an example of a listing with a lot of stock photos that you wouldn't be able to get away with. Same thing with like any Amazon listing. Like, for example, if we were trying to list this fish oil right here and Mercari sees this, they're going to flag you. You're going to get a notification that you violated their policy, and too many policy violations will eventually lead to an account suspension, all right? So it's not worth it. Just scale slowly, do it with the right products, and you'll be totally fine. Now, there's 2 main ways that I do it. Mainly with eBay, I'll do it directly to the customer. The key is finding listings on eBay that don't look too stock photo-y and actually have pictures that look like somebody took them themselves, right? So this pull-ups right here is a perfect example of an image that it looks like somebody actually took themselves on their computer, right? This pull-ups right here, not one of those. This one is one of those. It looks like somebody kind of took it themselves, right? This one, again, looks like somebody took it themselves. This one kind of looks like somebody took it themselves. This one does not, right? It's too stock photo-y, okay? And the reason I like it with eBay is because if you're shipping directly to a customer on Mercari specifically, you don't want to run into issues where you need to use a taco tracking number. It can work, but long-term, inevitably, it's going to piss some customers off. And since it's against Mercari's terms of service to actually do so, You don't want to get in trouble and get caught doing that. So I recommend going with somebody, if you're shipping directly to the customer, going with somewhere like eBay where you know these are third-party sellers and they're going to be using a USPS, a FedEx, or a UPS tracking number, so you're fine. So as long as you're using something like eBay or somewhere where you know that they're going to use one of those three main carriers that you can then input into Mercari, and your listing has images that don't look like they're stock photos and look like you took them yourselves, then you'll be totally fine. I've only really identified eBay as being a place like that, all right? So for example, if I wanted to list this on Mercari, I wouldn't because it doesn't have multiple quantity on eBay. The toughest part about finding listings on eBay are finding listings that are high quality, that have the information and good quality pictures that don't look stock photo-y. That's number one. And number two, obviously, once that is the case, you need to find something that with multiple quantity so it doesn't become out of stock before you can sell it, and then it ends up being a headache anyway, right? So this one only has one left, but again, that's an example of a stock photo one. This one is a perfect example of one that has multiple quantity. I can mark up, sell on Mercari, and it looks like the photos have been taken by somebody literally on a table. It does not look stock photo-y, right? This is another perfect example of one that we could list right here. This is another perfect example of pictures that we could list right here. Same thing with this one, right? So it really just becomes the nuance of finding these type of listings on eBay. With a little bit of searching around, you can find them relatively easy. I just wanted to hit that home in the beginning because that is the most important thing that you need to understand if you want to be successful long-term dropshipping on this platform. But it is a great platform with a lot of sales velocity, especially with the right products. Now, if I wanted to copy this to Mercari, I would just copy to Mercari. And since this specifically is eBay where I know that I'm shipping it directly to the customer, that's how I'd set this listing up. Now, right after this, I'm going to teach you, just like anything, right? You'd paste by Z-drop. Right after this eBay example, I'll do one more with you, and then I'll show you a different method that you can use. I utilize both of them. One from Amazon and Walmart, where I do the dropship arbitrage, and one from eBay, where I directly ship to customers. I'll list from both, and I'll do both. So as soon as this pastes in the pictures here, there we go. So now we have all the pictures. They don't look stock photo-y. We want to make sure that just like anything, you don't have anything about eBay in the description. A lot of things on eBay will potentially have eBay in the description. A lot of them will say like, find the best deals at eBay. Just make sure there's nothing about eBay in your description. That's again, another way that you can get flagged on Mercari. So just do like a Control F if you're on PC or a search function if you're on Mac. I don't know what the search function is. It's something similar. And then type in eBay and make sure that it does not say eBay on the page. So we're good there, all right? Now we add the hashtags. You would do the same thing. So you just add a few hashtags here. So we'd go like wall mount, tools, tool holder. This is not tools and collectible, or this is not toys and collectibles. It's tools and equipment. I'm going to say no brand, even though this is made for Ryobi. It's not Ryobi. It's made for Ryobi. It is new, and there is shipping. So keep that in mind with some eBay listings, there will be shipping, so just account for that in how much you mark it up, all right? But again, Z-Drop will automatically mark it up. This is another great platform that you can dropship on. Now, when we're doing it from eBay specifically, we're going to ship it to the customer directly, like I said, right? We're dropshipping it directly. So if that's what you're doing with eBay, you want to make sure that you have ship on your own selected, all right? And make sure that it marked it up. It doubled the price almost, right? It marked it up. I have mine set to like 70% currently, but we also want to account for the shipping charge. So I'll mark it up a little bit more even, and I'll go $19. And now we know that we're paying $9.25 plus $3.25. So what is that, like $12.50? So $12.50 plus tax is probably, we'll say $13.50 maybe. So I'm really only going to make like $2.50 if I mark this up. That's not really enough to kind of be worth it. So I'll mark this up to $25 and make sure that I'm making a little bit more. Again, the only reason that this comes into play is one, because they're shipping, and two, because this is a relatively cheap product. If you're using Z-Drop to mark up a product that's more expensive, for example, you're not really going to have to manually mark anything up because it's already going to mark it up a significant amount for you already. So you don't really need to worry about that, but only if you're really dealing with shipping or something that's relatively cheap. I'm going to turn smart pricing off because I don't want this on if I'm drop shipping directly. I don't want to monitor my prices, and then I'll simply list it. And so there, we listed that one in Mercari. Now let's show you another example of ones that we can and can't list. So this one, again, stock photos. Clearly, another reason you want to avoid this is because it has the Suzuki Parts Express brand name in that, so you don't want to list that because that could be an IP complaint, right? On Facebook and on Mercari. Always avoid brand names in the pictures and brand names if it's like a third-party seller in the title. You want to avoid those at all costs, all right? Plus, this only has one, but we wouldn't list it anyway because it has stock photos. Now, this is another example right here of something that you might want to list because it's not stock photos, but it is pre-owned, so keep that in mind if you're listing that as well. You can list pre-owned stuff, I do from time to time, and it can work, although keep in mind that you want to make sure that there's multiple quantities. So this one is a perfect example of something that looks like is not stock photos. You can clearly see somebody took this against a wood background, so it's going to look legit if we list it on Mercari. There is shipping, so we need to account for that. A lot of times there won't be on eBay, but just keep that in mind in case there is. So we're going to copy it to Mercari. There is multiple quantity, and then we're going to paste it by ZDrop and wait for the pictures to come in. All right, there we go. So the title looks pretty good. It's already got no bad keywords in it or anything like that. We want to make sure that, again, there's no eBay in the description. So we're going to search for eBay on the page. Okay, no eBay, thank God. Now we're going to go Craftsman here. Because Craftsman is an actual brand, we don't need to worry about taking that out because it's not a third-party brand, right? It's a main brand that's going to help us get more eyes and visibility on this listing. So I'm going to keep it in there. I'm also going to use it as a hashtag. We're going to do tools and we'll go wrench. It looks like it's already been categorized in tools. Craftsman's already been branded. It is new. The color is red just because of the background's red. So we'll keep it there. Again, we're shipping it directly to the customer via eBay. So we're going to ship it on our own. Now we need to obviously turn off smart pricing. And we want to make sure that we account for the $10 shipping. We don't forget that. So $10, so I'll mark it up another $10 and we'll go 49 just to stay under 50. Then we make sure I'm making 42 bucks. This is going to be 32 to ship, maybe a few more dollars, maybe like $2 more. So we'll say 34 if you account for tax. And that's totally fine. That's an $8 profit margin, so we'll list that. And that's how you can drop ship on Mercari directly to customers. Again, just make sure no stock photos in your listings. And use suppliers, especially like eBay, that you know are third-party sellers, so you know that they're going to use a USPS, a FedEx, or a UPS tracking number, right? Because if, for example, you would try to drop ship Amazon or Walmart, like I'm going to show you here in a second, or any of these other places directly to a customer, even if you were to use all review images, you might eventually run into an issue where you have a TBA tracking number on Amazon, or you have a DoorDash tracking number on Walmart. And that is something that you want to avoid on Mercari. They take that seriously, and all it takes is a customer to ask you that via messages, and then their algorithm will pick up on it very quickly. Or a customer to report it to Mercari in a case, and then again, Mercari takes that very seriously. So you don't want to go through that. Slow and steady scale, use eBay directly like I just showed you, or you can use Walmart and Amazon, but use Amazon Prime and Walmart Plus, and then order to you first and do the dropship arbitrage. So if I were going to do it from Amazon or Walmart, it's the same way on Walmart. You just grab the review images. I'll show you the same thing on Amazon. You just want to grab listings and only take listings with high quality review images that you can then use on your listing, and then you can use all the other information, copy it over with ZDrop so that it stores the actual URL so you can go back to it, and then you order it to yourself first, use the Mercari label, charge the customer for shipping, and then ship it out with a Mercari label, a lot like you would do on Poshmark, a lot like you would do on OfferUp, and any other place where you need to do dropship arbitrage, right? So I don't always do this. A lot of times I'll ship directly with eBay, but I do list products that I know are hot selling products on Mercari like this, and it works very well. You just need to do the dropship arbitrage. Okay, we understand we need to do the dropship arbitrage. We understand that we need to find Amazon or Walmart listings with a lot of review images. How do we do that, right? Well, typically speaking, if you're finding high quality products that have a lot of reviews and have been on the platform for a while and are rated well, they're going to have good review images most of the time, right? So let's open this one. Let's open this one. Also keep in mind that if you're doing this with the dropship arbitrage, you might not want to dropship a desk, right? Or you might not want to do something like super big because you have to take that to the post office, to UPS or FedEx yourself. So keep it relatively small. It can still be something on the bigger end, like it can still be a bigger package, but just keep in mind that you have to take that to the actual post office or UPS or FedEx yourself and drop it off with the label. So let's go this one. We'll try this. Let's go these sunglasses. We'll try these. And we're just looking for images that have high quality review images that we can then list to Mercari. So the first thing you want to do is check if it has review images and if they're good. Can any of these be used on Mercari in your listing to sell the actual product, right? Well, some of them actually can. This is a pretty good picture. This is a pretty good picture. That's a pretty good picture. I'm going to take all of those, right? So what you can do then is you can just clip the review images. You'll also get more bang for your buck if you do this along with Depop and Vinted at the same time. So if you're grabbing these review images, don't just list this to Mercari, list it to Depop and Vinted as well. But I'll teach you Depop and Vinted coming in a few lectures. Just keep that in mind. And then you can list all of them very quickly because you'll have all those review images. So now that we grab those 3 review images, we can sell the listing because Mercari's not going to know that we don't have this and we're sourcing it from Amazon first because it looks like we took the images that we put on the listing. So we're going to copy this to Mercari, paste it by ZDrop. Understand that when it copies it over, it is going to take all the other stuff, so it's going to save you a lot of time, but it is going to take the images in there. Now, I used to tell people to keep these in there and then just paste the review images in the front. I don't recommend that anymore. Just play it safe. It's better safe than sorry. Just delete them all. It's not necessary, and then upload your review images that you grab. And now drag the best one in the front, and that's a pretty solid listing. It looks like I took these myself, right? You might get the random message if you take a review image that looks high quality, like, hey, is this new? And you can just reiterate, like, yeah, this is brand new, never opened, like I just took the pic. There's the title, drag this down, make sure there's nothing about warranty information, brand information, money back guarantees, same as Facebook Marketplace. Does not look like it is. There's nothing about any brands, so we're going to drag this down. This is going to be sunglasses, glasses, we'll go shades. There we go. And we're going to say that these are men's sunglasses. These are not Dolce & Gabbana. They're no brand. They're new. I'm going to leave the color off just because I'm not sure if these are brown or black. I'd have to check. They look brown, so they might be brown. They are brown. All right, so we'll keep it brown. Then, since we're doing it from Amazon, we are not going to have shipping on our own, right? Because we're going to order it to ourselves first. We're going to use the Mercari label. We're going to do the dropship arbitrage. Now, with standard shipping, you can pick the specific shipping that you're going to choose, right? So how do you know what that is? You're going to choose a prepaid label, and then you're going to input the actual numbers here. So you go back to Amazon, you scroll down. You can guesstimate, obviously, but the best way is to just figure it out because Amazon tells you this is only 4 ounces roughly, and it's 7 by 3 by 1 inches. So it's 4 ounces, 7 by 3 by 1, and that's going to tell you that when you select the carrier, it's relatively cheap shipping. Now, sometimes it's going to be more expensive, sometimes it's not going to be more expensive. It really depends on the weight of the actual package and the size of the package. Then just pick your best option, or obviously if you have a FedEx closer to your house and you want to go to FedEx all the time, pick that, right? So you can pick the cheapest option or your favorite option. Then you can select that you'll pay. But when I'm doing dropship arbitrage, I typically have the buyer pay so that I don't have to worry about the shipping cost and I can just mark it up using ZDrop. If you want to offer free shipping, that can work better. But if you're going to do that, then make sure that you input that specific cost into your price so that you can account for that discrepancy and still make the same profit margin. So whichever way you want to do it works, and then you smart pricing off and you list. All right, so we just listed that one. Now let's do one more. Let's find out if this beard one, because it has a lot of ratings, has any good review images. That's the first step. This one's not terrible. That's actually pretty good because it's still in the package. The best pictures that you can take are ones like this, where it looks like you're taking a picture of the package where you can see what the product is, but it's clearly still new. So this is a great image for a listing. We'll save that. Let's try to find a few more. That's not a terrible one. That's a pretty solid one. And you can grab, 2 to 5 images. Obviously, the more images that you have, assuming that they're quality, the better. But for the sake of saving your time, I'm just going to grab 2 here. Now that we have our review images, we're going to go up. We're going to copy it to Mercari, paste it in, and then wait for the pictures to load. All right, there we go. So now that we have the pictures in there, we're going to delete them because we don't want stock images on Mercari. We're going to add our review images instead. That one's first, that one's second. You can put them all in at the same time. I just did it. Now we're going to make sure that the title and the description, just like any other platform, are good with no information about money back guarantees, warranty, brand information, anything like that. Nothing about it selling on the Amazon platform. It looks fine, but we're going to take the price out there, and that looks pretty good. Now we're going to scroll down. This is hairstyling, so it hit that. We're going to go hair. We'll go beard, and we'll go shape. Now there's no brand because it's third party. It is new. Now with the delivery here, what we want to do is we want to choose the package, right? We're going to do standard shipping and choose the package size because we're ordering it to ourselves first because we're using Amazon or Walmart as a supplier. And so we need to do the dropship arbitrage. So we go back, This is 1 ounce, 6 by 4 by, we'll round that up to say 1 because you can't go 0. So we'll edit shipping. It was 1 ounce, 6 by 4, 6 by 4 by 1. And then we'll choose this one. We're going to say the buyer chooses, we're going to say that the buyer pays shipping for this. Mark that up a little bit more just so that we still have a margin on it. And there we go. We listed that, and that's how fast it is and how easy. So those are the 2 ways that you can dropship on Mercari. Remember, scale it up slowly. Either do the dropship arbitrage with Amazon and Walmart, but only use review images, or do eBay directly with third-party sellers, but again, only use images that don't look like their stock, that look like the review images that you took yourself. If you do this and you do it consistently, you list here a lot and you list the right products, you can make a considerable amount of money every month on Mercari. I'm speaking from experience. So how do you track your inventory? How do you deal with price changes when dropshipping on these websites? Do you use software? Do you need something that automatically connects in and is constantly changing everything to make sure that you never sell an item that's out of stock, or never sell an item where the price has drastically increased and now is losing money? So when you're dropshipping on platforms like Amazon or eBay, right, there's a lot more software available that can track and adjust your prices and your inventory based on the supplier's website. And this is obviously going to ensure that you remain profitable and you never receive an order where your supplier is then out of stock on that item. But a common question I get is like, what software do I use on sites like Poshmark, Mercari, OfferUp, Facebook Marketplace? The list goes on. And surprisingly, I don't use any software for this. I have over like 30,000 listings probably across all of them, maybe more. And I manage it all without a repricer or without a stock monitoring tool. Here's why. When you're a beginner, when you're just starting, right, and you don't have enough listings yet to justify the cost of a repricing software, you're not getting enough sales to even need it, and you can manage all your listings manually very easy. Plus, any software solution that you would use for this would get expensive very, very fast as you add listings. Trust me, I've looked into all of them. Now, if you're an intermediate and advanced seller, at this stage, while software might sound advantageous because you obviously have more listings, consistent sales are going to bury any occasional needs that you're going to have to cancel an order due to an out of stock or a price change. So if you have to cancel an order, it'll just get buried in your metrics because you're selling so many so consistently. It's not going to matter. And then at that point, you can simply put the product out of stock or delete it from your inventory so you don't sell it again, or you can increase the price if you're losing money on it and then cancel a sale for that reason. For example, I rarely have to take a loss on a product, but if I do, then I just adjust the price immediately, or I cancel the order if the loss is significant. Since I sell like 10 to 20 items a day roughly, one canceled order every week or even every few days doesn't impact my overall metrics significantly. Now, depending on your account, you can cancel up to 5 or even 10% of your orders without an issue. I would not cross that 5 mark though. I would try to keep it underneath that. And of course, platform to platform, it's going to differ, but generally speaking, if you're selling a bunch of orders, canceling an order here and there is not going to be a big deal. Now, when your supplier is out of stock, I keep track of the order in a spreadsheet and I'll check back daily. And if it's still out of stock after a few days, then I'll cancel the order at that point. This rarely impacts my metrics because it's a small fraction of my overall sales. Now, many people overcomplicate dropshipping by thinking they need some special software or special sourcing strategy. They think that they need all the bells and the whistles to get started and make any money, but that is the furthest thing from the truth. Keep it simple. It doesn't need to be complicated. I promise you, you can always complicate it later if you want to. Currently, you don't need any software to monitor your prices or your stock levels unless you're using very obscure suppliers. Most suppliers used by dropshippers have stable stock levels and prices, especially if your main supplier is going to be Amazon and Walmart, which is typically what I recommend for most beginners. And if you're using something like Target or eBay, obviously, then you might need to change it a little bit more frequently, but that's why I suggest building the base of your store with Amazon and Walmart first. They're more reliable, they're more consistent. Then start branching out to more obscure suppliers, even other ones than I've mentioned, because then you can get different product types, differentiated products that no one else is selling on these sites, and increase your margins. And if you're listing with a margin that's high enough, slight price fluctuations on your supplier's website won't put you at a loss anyway. So to summarize, don't overcomplicate things, list a bunch of items, see what works, and scale from there. If you're not making consistent sales, list more products, do some product research. Avoid getting caught up in the latest software trends. If you've got a listing software that works, that's all you need. If you're dropshipping on somewhere like Poshmark too, then you might need a share bot as well. But that's it. It's simple, it's not sexy, but it works, and it'll get you paid. So you want to make sure that you avoid these specific products when you're drop shipping or selling somewhere where you're listing products and you run the risk of getting IP complaints or copyright complaints. Now, this is also important if you're drop shipping per se on somewhere like Depop or somewhere like Mercari, where you need to use review images, or at the very least need to use pictures that don't look too stock photo-ish, because I'm going to show you how I basically find a lot of these listings with images on them already that I can just copy over using ZDrop super quickly to sites like Mercari, Depop, Facebook Marketplace, not Poshmark specifically for this case, and a number of others that look like high quality review images, or at the very least don't look like they're too stock photo-ish. They look like I just took my phone, took a picture of them myself, and posted them. Now, that's really going to help you fly under the radar on a lot of these websites where you need to list products with images that you took yourself and you can't just use stock photos. It's also going to help you fly under the radar on a lot of these sites where IP complaints have become a really big issue, and it's going to help you avoid them. So put simply, I'm just going to run through some examples of how I'd find some of these. Now, I'm on eBay. eBay is one of my favorite suppliers, especially for sites like Facebook Marketplace or Depop, and Mercari especially. I do have some other top suppliers as well, but eBay's probably my favorite, honestly. So here we are on all the categories, and we're just going to pick a random one. I'm going to show you how I would sort this, how I would go through and actually find these products, and I'm going to give you different examples of like, this is a good one, and this is why, this is a bad one, and this is why you should avoid this one, and you get the picture, right? So let's go to, I don't know, automotive air tools, and we'll go spray guns, why not? And now you see, if we scroll down, there's going to be a bunch of different spray guns, right? But we don't want all these listings, because if we go through and maybe list this one, for example, it might be in a different country. It might have an auction going, right? And so how can you filter this so that we can just go down a list and pick the ones out that we think have good images? And there's a high likelihood that they have multiple quantity, because if we're drop shipping them, for example, or listing them on another platform, that's crucial, because you don't want to list a product that only has a quantity of one, because if it sells, then you're never going to be able to sell that again, and you're just going to run into future issues. So I'll go to all filters, and the main three, you can play around with these a lot and kind of see what else you want to do. The main three for me is I'll go new and new other if I'm drop shipping new items, of course. Now, another little caveat is often you can drop ship used stuff as well, because there's next to no competition, because a lot of the people selling used stuff are resellers of used stuff, and not a lot of people are drop shipping used stuff. So it's going to look like A, you're flying under the radar, B, you won't get any IP complaints because it's used, and nobody else is doing that. So you're competing on specific products that nobody else is selling as a drop shipper, right? So that's another little caveat, but today we're just going to stick with new and new other. And we're going to drop ship some new stuff. So I'm going to go to buying format, because again, we don't want any auctions. So buy it now. Again, condition, new or new other, unless you want to specifically drop ship used stuff. Buying format, I'm going to go buy it now. So again, we can just click, order, and we don't have to worry about any auctions and like time stuff. Item location is crucial, because you don't want it to be, coming from a different location or a different country. That's going to lead to a lot of issues. I used to forget to check this sometimes, especially when I used to drop ship on Facebook Marketplace a lot. And I would list a lot of stuff that came from like Russia or Canada sometimes. And my shipping times would be a lot longer. And then it would lead to issues, and the customers would get annoyed. And I'd have to kind of like play these games with them, acting like I messed up the order and I have to send them another one. Like, you don't want to run into those issues. So again, make sure that your item location is checked US only, or at the very least, your country if you're not drop shipping within the US. So then we're going to apply it. And that's going to filter all these listings within automotive spray guns that fit those parameters, right? And those are the three main ones that I usually check off. But again, you can play with other ones. And now it just becomes a game of like, okay, what do we think looks like a stock image, right? Clearly a stock image right here. Even though like someone took this and it's a white background that it looks like somebody took, it's too close to a stock image, right? We don't want that. This one, clearly something we don't want, because it has text in the image. It looks like it's a product listing picture. Same thing with this one, like ship same day. We want to avoid all of these things. We're really after listings that look like they're good, right? Because we want the product to be displayed in a good fashion, but it looks like somebody literally took that themselves with a camera or with their iPhone. So as an example, this one kind of does, although it has a white background, but you can kind of see like it looks like a product photography picture. But just to be safe, like I'd probably stay away from something like that. As we scroll down, a lot of these are all stock images. Like again, white background. You don't want any text like right here. None of these are things that I would really go after. Now, this one you can see, if we open this, this one is a perfect example of one that it looks like somebody took themselves, right? So it literally looks like somebody took a picture of the box and they took it on like, I don't even know what that is, like pavement or something like that in the background. And so this would be a good image of something that we could drop ship. But does it have multiple quantity? No, it does not. So we can't drop ship that. And typically what I'll do is I'll have my VAs just sort like this, and then they'll go down and select all the ones. Here's another perfect example. All the ones in order, like 10 pages deep in a category, that look like they don't have stock images on them and they look like someone has taken them themselves like this, and we'll right click open, and then we'll continue to move through. And then as we build up like, 20, 30, 40, 50 of those tabs open in that browser, then they'll go back and they'll look to see, okay, does it have multiple quantity? That's the first thing in the checklist, because again, if it doesn't have multiple quantity, there's no sense in listing it, because if this person sells, we can never drop ship this product. It's pointless. So we don't want to do that. So this one actually looks like somebody took it themselves. If you look at this product picture, it looks like they kind of have it on a table or some kind of metal background of some sort. Now, another key caveat here is a lot of times eBay sellers will have branding in the image. So this would be actually a good example of something that you could drop ship, because it's got a product picture that displays what the item is. It's high quality in my opinion, but it looks like somebody took it themselves. It's not too stock imagey. It also has multiple quantity, 10 available quantity, and this is an example of something that we would drop ship. Now, another thing I tell my VAs to keep an eye out for is their shipping, because sometimes eBay sellers will sell products with shipping costs. And so if you just mark up the price of this and you use Z-Drop to drag it over to somewhere like Poshmark or Mercari, or, well, you wouldn't sell this on Poshmark, but you get the picture. Copy it over to Facebook or copy it over to Mercari or something like that. Then it's only going to mark the price up, but you want to account for the shipping. So what I'll do is I'll tell them typically mark the price up 60 or 80% depending on the platform, and then add the shipping costs. So we'll mark it up 60%, for example, and then we'll add $5.15 to whatever that is. And that's kind of how we approach it. So this is a perfect example of something that's a good buy. Now, actually, I want to show you examples of other things that you might run into. And I know a lot of like eBay car parts tend to have issues with this. So I want to show you some examples of that. So let's just pick a random, car part category, and we'll kind of go through some of this stuff. So we'll say, we'll go, towing parts and accessories. And then how about towing accessories? Why not? And we'll see if any of these pop up. Again, we're going to go to the filters to filter through. Condition's going to be new in this example, or new other. Buying format, again, we won't buy it now. We don't want any auctions. Item location, we want to be close to us, so I'm going to say USA only, and then we apply it. And now we're just going to go down the list and kind of see what looks good to us. So this one kind of looks good to us, right? It looks like somebody took this image themselves. This one, also an image that looks like somebody took themselves, although there is only 2 left. And as a rule of thumb, I usually say at least 3 or don't list it. But again, that's just me. This one looks like something that somebody took themselves. Now, this one right here has made in the USA on it. I'd probably stay away from it. This one looks like a perfect example of something that somebody would sell themselves. This is an example of something that you don't want to list, because another thing you need to look out for in a lot of the images is the brand. So see how this person has the brand name here, TAUS71, and that's literally the seller? Do not list something with the brand in it. A lot of times too, if you actually look at this picture, it's branded in the image, and you can kind of see it. It's a little tough to see, but like, see how it's right there, branded in the image? A lot of times it'll be subtle, but some of these people and some of these sellers will brand their images like that, so steer clear of it. Oftentimes too, they'll take a product picture with the brand name in the background. Like maybe they'll have like a little thing up here in the left-hand corner that says like, Tony's Auto Parts, and it'll be like their business card or something like that. Again, don't list it, because those people are doing that to brand their images so that nobody else can use it. For whatever reason, those types of sellers get butthurt if other people use their product images. So in that case, if you see something like that, do not list it. That's going to lead to an IP complaint. So this one's, there's only 1 left. We're not going to sell it. This one has 10 available. Again, it doesn't look like it has any branded image. It looks like somebody took it themselves, and bam, it's perfect. So I would list this. I'd probably mark it up like 60% or 80%. And then I'd also add 1040 to the cost of it, because there's shipping. But again, this is another example of something that's really good to list. So there's 2 products right there. I X'd out of the one by accident like an idiot. That's 2 products right there. And this one actually looks semi-decent because it looks like there is a little bit of whiteness around here, but if you look close, it looks like somebody actually took the product image and they're kind of laying everything out. So this is a pretty good image that I'd use as well. Again, multiple quantity, and this one has free shipping, so you don't need to worry about adding it. So this is another example of something that you could sell as well. Let me find one more example of, okay, so this is an example of one that you'd want to avoid because, again, Belgrade heavy-duty truck parts. It doesn't look like that's the seller, but I would avoid this. Unless you want to copy it over and only use this image, then you could do that. That would work. Then this one looks like something that somebody took a picture of, so this one's pretty good. Let me find one example of something that's bad that you don't want to list. And you're going to see this in a lot of different categories, not just car parts. I just know it's really prevalent in car parts. That's why I wanted to use it as an example. Again, this one, USA stock, like don't list anything with text like that in the image. This one looks like somebody took it themselves. This one looks like somebody took it themselves. Even though it's on a white background, it kind of looks like it's like cardboard of some sort or like a picture background. Somebody took it clearly. This is another perfect example of something you'd want to drop ship. Looks like somebody took it themselves, but it's clear enough and it's a good enough product picture that it displays what it is and that it's new. Multiple quantity, so it's perfect and free shipping. We love that. Let's find, this is what I mean right here. So this is an example of somebody that's branded their image, right? See, it says like Vegron or whatever that is. Do not list anything like this. This person might not see it, right? They might not see your listing, but it's higher risk than if you list something else because God forbid they find their listing on somewhere else. Some of them will reach out to you and ask you to take it down, but some won't, and they will just report you, and you don't want that. It's not worth it, so do not list anything like that, all right? And that's pretty much how I go through the process of finding high-quality products that look like they're not stock images that I took myself for platforms like Mercari, for example, or Depop. And lately, I've been testing a lot of this on Facebook Marketplace because while you can list product images that look stock photo-ish on Facebook Marketplace, I've been having a lot more success recently listing things that kind of look like more like Facebook Marketplace-y or Craigslist-y, where it's like I took the product myself and it looks like I'm just a normal seller that's not dropshipping it. All right, so when you're making your product listings, obviously there's multiple ways to do it. You could just input them manually, but why would you do that? Now, when you're using it's going to be twofold, right? If you're drop shipping, then you're just going to use the buttons to copy from the actual listing, regardless of where your supplier is, right? So, for example, if you're copying to Mercari, you just copy to Mercari. If you're copying to Poshmark, you copy to Poshmark. If you're copying to wherever you're copying to, you just use the software to do it for you, and it will copy that directly over. It will take the title, the picture, the description, and automatically mark the price up, right? Now, that's from your supplier, right? But if you're reselling, what should you do, right? Do you need to take your own product pictures? You can. Do you need to write your own product description and product titles? You can. Or what you could do is just use a pre-existing listing and find that product because chances are there's a 99% chance that you can find a listing of that product with decent pictures already, whether that's Amazon, eBay, another website, or wherever. You can generally find it. Worst case scenario, you could take your own product pictures, but you know, if there's already a listing, you might as well just use that, right? So what I'll typically do is I'll search the brand and the product on Amazon to try to find that. And then you can just use that specific listing when you find it on Amazon if you find that product on Amazon. If you can't, then just search Google, right? Put the brand name in there. So let's say it was like a DeWalt. This is a completely made up product, but like you get the picture. Let's say it was like a DeWalt, like, I don't know, 166C W550, nail gun, yellow, whatever, right? Then you would search that in Google, see if you can find a product listing of that. I literally just made that up, so I'm sure this is an actual thing, but you get the picture. Right? You try to find that specific product with a listing already, and then you can utilize their pictures, their listing, their description, and then obviously see what it's going for a little bit on certain websites, right? And that's a really good way to do it because then you don't need to waste your time taking the product pictures, writing the description, all that other stuff. You could just use somebody else's and save you a bunch of time. And that might not seem like a big deal, but if you're listing a bunch of stuff and you're reselling, like that's going to take you a while to do. People always joke like to get through your listings, it takes a while, but like you can just shortcut it by using a listing from somebody else that's already up, assuming just make sure that it is the same exact product, right? So search the brand, search the product. Chances are you'll find that product somewhere online, if not Amazon, right? Then utilize those listings and obviously just make it clear that that's yours, right? Like make some distinction there. Now, you could also have AI write it for you. You could ask ChatGPT. You could ask Copilot. You could have AI improve the listing for you. So for example, we took like one of these eBay listings. and it like didn't have a good description, but it had decent pictures or whatever the case is, we could just have AI rewrite it better for us and say, hey, here's the product, here's the description, here's everything we know about it. Write a good, I don't know, paragraph or two description that's SEO and keyword friendly. That would obviously improve my results in search results. Like, make a prompt for you and then run all your products through that prompt, and AI will write you a great bang up description with a ton of SEO that will obviously increase the likelihood that you'll be found on the platform, so you'll sell it better. So now you're using their pictures, but you're improving on their listing, right? That's a really great way to do it. And one app that works really well, there's a bunch out there now with a bunch of AI software, but one app that works really well is called Photo Room. So Photo Room like this, and you can just search that in the App Store, and that will take product pictures, but then instantly remove the background for you. So it will, regardless if you take it like on a bed or you take it on a floor, like it will cut out automatically the background around your product, and then you can put a white background, you can put whatever you want instantly. So it's a great way to take other good photos, right? So 2 ways to product list when you're drop shipping: just use the buttons from ZDrop. They're a game changer. From your supplier. It doesn't have to be Amazon, but we're just using Amazon in this case. Or if you resell, then you can search for that product on Amazon or Google, find a specific listing, utilize their pictures, utilize their listing, or have AI write it for you, or have AI improve a current listing, and use an app like Photo Room, worst case scenario, if you need to take your own pictures. So hope it helps. All right, so I really briefly want to talk about making offers and promoting your products. Now, this is a great way to drive interest, drive the value, the perceived value up, and also simulate urgency on Mercari to drive a bunch more sales, right? So on every single listing, once you list it, you're going to click this promote button, and it's going to have 3 different options. Now, you're not going to be able to use time limited sale. This is a newer feature that they just launched. So you're not going to be able to use this if you've just listed it within this week. But after a week has gone by and you've listed a product, you can then use this, okay? So what this does is it's going to notify everybody on the website. It's going to also boost you up in search and boost you up in suggested across the website for 72 hours, so 3 days, and then notify the people that have liked it that your product it's on a time limited sale, right? This is a great way to simulate urgency and also improve not just the perceived value of people that have liked it, but also across the board, right? So this is a great thing. Play around with it. They just launched it recently. Now, you could also promote it to everybody, so you can reduce the price a certain percentage, and then they'll boost your listing and notify the people who have liked your item. I don't ever really do this because I don't drop my prices like that. Instead, what you could, it does work, but instead what I like to do is I'll make private, think of this as like a public sale, like promote to everybody's public, but then you have to keep your price at that point. So like this is $85 and then I dropped it to $75. It would obviously be site wide, but then my price would be $75 if nobody ends up buying it, right? So instead what I do is I typically like to offer to likers, and this will keep the price at whatever it is, but you can make a simulated offer to likers, right? So no one's like this product, but let's scroll down. Like you have 3 likers on this product. So if we went to offer to likers, it would offer to the 3 people that have liked this. And depending on how long ago you've listed it or how much interest there is, it could be 1 liker, it could be 5 likers, it could be 20 likers, whatever. And then obviously it's going to send that offer to those 20 people, which is going to simulate urgency because it's a timed offer. If they don't act now, somebody else might buy it or they might lose out on the potential sale. But also it increases the perceived value of that product as well because it's dropping the price. They don't have to pay as much as well, right? So it's doing twofold to help you sell a product, and obviously this goes a long way to make, sales, make more sales for you. So this is $29. I could say like, hey, I'm going to offer you $19 and it's going to tell you what you earn. You could also offer $24 or whatever you want to do, right? It's going to send an offer to the likers that have all liked this product for a certain period of time. Again, this is only 24 hours, so it really simulates urgency. Then you can send it, hope that they buy it, and then it will send it to them, right? So just using these different promotion methods, I think offers to likers is the best. You can try this one out, but again, it's going to keep your price at whatever you drop it to long term. So play around with this, but only use it sparingly and on certain products. And you could also use the new time limited sale. I've been playing around with this a little bit. Haven't seen, obviously I've seen a ton of success from offers to likers because I've been using it for a long time. I haven't seen a ton of success from this, but I've only really been using it for like a week now. So play around with it. It's really cool, and it's a great way to, again, offer to likers, but also get boosted in search and suggested across the actual website. So play around with all of these, honestly. But this is something that you should be doing to drive more sales. It's super easy. I would have your virtual assistant or you go through, once a week and make some offers to people that I've liked. It's going to increase your sales significantly for not a whole lot of extra work.
So first and foremost, what is Mercari Smart Pricing? Mercari Smart Pricing is a feature that they just introduced to help you automate your sales and promotions on Mercari. And in my opinion, it's super exciting that they're rolling out these new features like this to help sellers sell more on the platform. Now, what I usually teach sellers to do, and this is a strategy that I even use myself every single day, is to set their prices very, very high and then promote their items site-wide to accumulate likes and interest. Then, once you do have that interest, you can promote to the likers to convert them to buyers. The new smart pricing feature eliminates the need for that because it's literally a set it and forget it automation that Mercari will do for you. For example, let's say you set your initial price at like $40. Then you enable smart pricing with maybe a floor price of $15. Well, in that instance, Mercari would slowly drop your price and promote it site-wide for you over the coming weeks. And if no one purchased it, then eventually it would hit the floor price of $15 and smart pricing would be automatically turned off. And that kind of touches on how it can help you sell more, right? Instead of having to actually spend the time to promote your own listings site-wide, and keep in mind that you're only allowed to promote 10 of those per day, and having to actually spend the time to constantly make offers to those likers, this feature will automate the entire selling process for you. That way you can literally just focus on sourcing new products and listing them and not necessarily having to worry about converting those people into potential buyers. So that begs the question then, should you use it? Now, I'm gonna answer this in two different ways, and I'll tell you, whether I think it's best for most people, and I'll also tell you whether or not I plan on using it myself in my own Mercari store. And it's important to understand that everybody runs their reselling business first and foremost differently, okay? For me specifically, I'm not too keen on utilizing this feature all that much, to be honest. The reason for that is that I'm more interested in listing my products high, like I said before, and selling them at a higher price point, even if that means I have to wait a few weeks or a few months even for my items to sell. I'm personally willing to wait, have my cash flow tied up for longer periods of time, and really focus on building out a reselling business where I'm constantly adding profitable inventory with high ROIs. In that instance, the more profitable inventory you have listed, generally speaking, assuming it has a demand for it, then the more sales and the more profit you can expect to bring in every single month. And that might be your business model too, and your goals as well. Or you might be on the other side of the spectrum, right? You might be focused on turning over, profit and cash flow and flipping your products quickly. And in that case, then you might want to think about utilizing this feature a little bit more. There's really no right or wrong approach to this. It's really just what's right for you. So ask yourself if you're more focused on, profit over time, or if you're more focused on, flipping products quickly, even if your ROIs and your profit's a little bit lower. I see, one major advantage of this feature and really one major disadvantage. The major, advantage being obviously that, like we talked about, it takes your time out of the equation and sells for you. And that is big, don't get me wrong. The major disadvantage that I see, obviously, being that you're giving up control of what you can potentially sell your products for. Meaning that you could set smart pricing up across a variety of your listings, and then it ends up dropping all your prices significantly and killing your margins. Now, I do also suppose that, if they drop the price too low and you're not comfortable with the price and it hasn't accumulated, obviously, a buy or enough interest at that point, then at that point you could relist it, which really only takes about 20 seconds on Mercari anyway, set up smart pricing again, and have another automated go at it. And you can just keep rinsing and repeating that process. So that's my take on it. I've tested it out on dozens of my own listings, and it's worked well on some, but it's also tanked the price without much interest gained on others. So I plan on just continuing to list my prices high and then promote them myself. It really only usually takes me about 5 minutes in the morning to promote my 10 listings site-wide every day and make, maybe 10 listings to offers depending on the listings. And that's not something that I kind of have like a formula for. It's kind of just like a gut feel that I say, hey, I want to promote this today. I see it's accumulated more interest. You don't have to follow my model though. I'd recommend testing it out yourself, on some of your listings, not necessarily all if you have no experience with it. If it's working well, then obviously keep using it. And if not, then your best bet is to just use what I recommend, which is list high, accumulate interest, and, sell with that technique.
All right, so I want to talk really briefly about relisting. Now, there's 2 times where you want to relist a product because on Mercari, you can't list with multiple quantities. So the first time is after you make a sale, right? Because for hypothetically, like let's say we listed this wrist and forearm blaster, like wrist roller, we can only list one of these because you can't list, this product listing with a quantity of 5 like you could on other websites. So when you sell it, obviously you can see the order from your sales page, but then you also want to just click relist to relist that same product that you've already sold, knowing that it's a good product, right? Now, this is the case when you're drop shipping or you can acquire another product. Obviously, if you are reselling and you only have one product, then obviously you would not do this. But if you're not and you're drop shipping, then you want to relist this product, right? If you just got the sale, it's a no-brainer. You want another shot to sell it again. And obviously the likelihood that you will sell it again goes up because it's proven to already sell on the platform, right? The next instance where you'd want to relist a product is on your stale listing. So if you go to active and you go to all the way to the back, so sort by newest first, no, we're going to sort by oldest first, or you could even sort by number of likers and go with the ones that haven't been liked that have been listed for a while. But I'll typically like to sort by oldest first. And so what I'll do is I'll sort oldest first, and then from these old ones, if they don't have a ton of interest, if they do have likes, I'll make an offer to likers, right? So this one has 16 likes. This one was listed a while ago, only has 617 views and 1 liker. This one, all of these kind of have views, but they don't have a ton of likes for being listed a while ago. So what I would do is I'd probably go through and promote all of these for 24 hours. If I get a sale, great. If not, then I will end up relisting them. The reason being is if you just click in here, you edit and relist this, the reason that that's going to potentially give you another shot at the algorithm and get more sales, right? Because this, for whatever reason, was listed and it was indexed, back when I listed it, and it might have gotten a little bit of traction, but based on the interest and the people that have viewed it and searched for it and how they reacted, whether they liked it, whether they clicked off it fast, whatever, a lot like social media, this will potentially get more eyeballs on this listing or not. And so if you want to take another shot at the algorithm because you know that this was listed a while ago and it hasn't gotten a sale and there's not a ton of interest in it, then you can just relist this and then take another shot at the algorithm. Now, before you do that, I would recommend promoting it one more time and trying to get a sale. But if that doesn't work, come back 24 hours later and redo this and just replenish stale listings. I would go through and do a page or 2 every few days. And that's an easy way that you can get potential other shot to sell a product and also make offers to likers here when you're promoting, or run a site-wide sale that's time limited because, again, it's giving you another opportunity to sell a stale product. And if it doesn't work, then you just relist it and then it becomes a new listing for you, right? So really hope that helps. That's the 2 times that you want to relist products: when you've sold an item, obviously, and you have another one, or you're drop shipping, or when it's stale and after you make an offer to likers just to give it another shot. So if you do resell, then one of the things that you're going to need is a good inventory system. Now, I don't resell anymore. I mainly drop ship, but when I did used to resell a ton, I used to have a very good inventory system that was literally labeled just like A1, A2, B3, all the different boxes and all the different bins to really help kind of categorize everything that I had very easily. And then I would know as soon as I got an order where that specific product was. The reason that you want to do it that way is because if you just start stacking stuff, like you're ordering a bunch of stuff or you're acquiring a bunch of stuff from Coupon website or liquidation or cashback or whatever, and just throwing it in piles in your basement or in your garage, that works for a time, right? But as you start to scale, it becomes a really big problem really fast. And I'm telling you, it's a headache because you will start to get orders once you start getting a bunch of inventory. And then you'll be looking around I know I have that. Where is it? And it will take you 15 minutes to find a product, 20 minutes to find a product, and you don't want to deal with that. Trust me, all right? So have a good inventory system. Again, I don't resell anymore. I mainly drop ship, but it is a good method for a lot of people as well. If you are reselling, you need a good inventory system, all right? So I made this video in the past on, an inventory system. The quality is not that good. It is a past video, but the information in it is spot on. So here it is.
What's going on, guys? So this is not going to be a structured or organized video or, high production quality, but I get this question all the time. So I wanted to kind of answer it and touch on it for you. How do I run my reselling business? How do I keep it organized, and how can you so that you can scale it? I'm not special. I don't have some warehouse. I don't rent out a space. I literally do it in my basement, and you can too, or you can do it in your garage. So how do I set up my business? How do I keep it organized so that I know where all my inventory is and I can do all the fulfillment and it's not a headache? Because that's one of the biggest mistakes I made in the beginning it was like a huge headache to kind of manage it, go find products. So key is just stay organized, right? As you can see, I got all my little priority mail boxes for free up there. This is a light box, one of the coolest things that I found to take better product pictures if you need to. I also have something I'm gonna show you over there when we talk about the books here in a second. Got my scale, my Avery labels, obviously, my Goo Gone, everything that I've talked about on this channel, my tape, I need to get more tape. I got the, the poly mailers, and then I have all these bins, right? And they're all organized, oh, that's coming off. And they're all organized with lettering, right? So what I do is I'll put something in a bin when I get it, right? So I'll go list that drinking game, right? And I'll maybe put it in bin number C. But so what I'll do is I'll put C at the bottom of the description if it's on eBay or Mercari. And if it's on Poshmark, they actually give you a section at the very bottom with like seller specs, right? So I'll put C in the bottom of that description, right? Then I know when somebody buys it, I look in the description and I think, oh wow, it's in bin C. And it takes me a minute to go find it in the 20 things or 30 things that are in bin C, rather than trying to go find it throughout all my inventory, right? So key number one, stay organized, right? And as you can see, I have just, products in all these bins. And it's only like 20 or 30 products per bin. Some of them, some of them have more, some of them have less. The key with obviously keeping your inventory, like when you're fulfilling on eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari is, having a system, making sure you're structured so that you can obviously go get the item, ship it out fast. You want to be organized. You want to have a system in place for any business model, but especially, online arbitrage or reselling. The key is when you're doing that to keep them in lettered bins and stay organized and have a structure. The other thing I wanted to show you here is this thing is really going to help you take better Poshmark pictures as well. It's just like a hanging little mannequin doll where you can hang clothes, but also, lighting as well. Stuff like that. I don't have any lights set up currently, but usually I do when I start to list. So I hope you got value out of this video. I know it's not high production quality. I know I didn't really have a structure and it doesn't seem like it's too prepared, but it's something I wanted to talk about because I get it all the time. And I'm not special. If I can do it, you can do it. I don't have a warehouse. I didn't invest thousands into setting this up. It's literally just 3 big shelves and, lettered bins.
All right, so product research. How do you know what's sold on the platform? How do you do product research for Mercari? Well, there's 2 main ways to do product research for Mercari. The first way is to, what I like to call the fishing approach. So you want to list a bunch of products, and this is, of course, if you're drop shipping, you want to list a bunch of products and then see what sticks. So list a bunch of electronics, list a bunch of car parts, list a bunch of, Halloween stuff if it's Halloween, because obviously right now I'm recording this in October, right? Whatever the case is, list a bunch of stuff, and then from there, you want to think of all your listings as metaphorical fishing poles in the water, and then wherever the fish bite or wherever you're getting sales, you list more stuff like that, right? The way that I was able to find out that electronics sell well and small electronics sell well on Mercari was by listing a bunch of things and then see where the fish were biting, where I was getting sales. I happened to notice that there was a pattern where I was selling a lot of the electronics that I was listing. And so because of that, I started listing more of those, right? I started listing a bunch of things, noticed that heat press mats were selling well. And because of that, I ended up selling a bunch more because I listed a bunch of different variations of heat press mats, knowing that those sold well, right? So the best way, in my opinion, believe it or not, is just trial and error. List a bunch of things and then see what sells well and then double down on what's working. Simple, but it works regardless of the platform. I've used that on Facebook Marketplace, Amazon, Mercari, Poshmark, like you name it. That is a tried and true method, right? Now, if you're doing something where you're trying to acquire inventory or you're reselling, then depending on your approach, right? Like if you're getting cashback or coupon websites or liquidation, then you're just going to list what you're able to acquire, right? But if you're trying to do product research and trying to figure out what is actually selling well on the platform because you want to know what to list, whether you're dropshipping or what to go out and potentially try to source, if you're reselling, then a good way to do that is just find other people that have sold on the platform. So I'll go through and I'll just look at a random category, or I'll browse one of like the home pages or one of the suggested, and I'll click on a bunch of items and I'll click on a bunch of sales, right? And then I'll see who's selling that product. So this is one that I clicked on. It's just a Canon like flashlight thing with a camera, I guess. This person has 142 reviews. So that means that they've sold 142 roughly, sales, right? This person has 423. This person has 180 or 148, right? And so you want to find people that have a ton of sales and then click in their actual, so like this person, 148, so he doesn't have a ton of sales, but what I would do is I'd click on his profile, and I've already done that for this person who has 423. I'd find someone that has like 1,000 reviews, maybe even more, because they're obviously experienced on the platform. You can do this with pretty much anybody. It doesn't have to be somebody with 1,000 reviews. It's just kind of like a rule that I like to do. And then I'll sort for their sold listings, and I'll come down and I'll see what has sold recently, right? That is literally the easiest way. Like newest listed sold, and then you can see what have they sold recently. Now you know that these are things that are in demand on the platform that it's not a guarantee, right? Like if you list these things that they're going to sell for you, but there is a higher likelihood that if you list these things or things like it, that you will get sales, because for twofold, right? A, it indicates demand on the platform, that people are actually buying and pulling out their wallets to pay for things like this on the platform, and they're searching for things like this on the platform. But also when Mercari starts to notice that, Xbox controllers or whatever are selling well, or, Nikon cameras are selling well, or replacement remotes are selling well, they're going to suggest more of their inventory. They're literally an algorithm as well. So if they notice that, like, hey, Bluetooth lantern speakers are selling well, then their algorithm is literally going to go out and try to find all the other Bluetooth lantern speakers that have been listed on Mercari so that they can suggest those to people, knowing that people are buying them right now, right? So it's twofold, right? A, people are searching for these. A, people are going out and buying these on the platform. So it's proven, and there's a higher likelihood that you could also get that interest and piggyback off that. But also B, again, if this is selling on the platform, Mercari's algorithm is going to search and try to find other listings like this to suggest, knowing that they're selling, right? So this is a great way to, do product research and kind of list other things that have already sold on the platform. Use this, again, trial and error. Think of the fishing rod approach, like I said, but also just kind of look at who's selling well on the platform, sort for their past recently sold, and then list stuff like that. It's really easy.
So one of the questions that I get asked frequently is, how am I able to make new accounts so easily and so quickly on a number of different websites so I can drop ship with multiple accounts if for whatever reason I want another account? Or what happens more frequently is if I get suspended on a specific account and I need to make a new one. Well, a big part of that is getting a new phone number so you can get verification codes. And so in this video, I'm going to show you how you can get a very, very cheap new US phone number very, very quickly, okay? So the first step is you want to go to textnow.com, and then you just want to go to Get Free Wireless up in the right-hand corner right here. You'll click that, and then you want to come down and buy the activation kit. That's only 99 cents, okay? What that's going to do is it's going to allow you to sign up, and they're going to send you something like this that looks like a little card that you can rip off. And once you rip the card off that they send you, there's going to be a little SIM card in the middle here. And they're also going to send you something where you can poke out your old SIM card. And then all you need to do is take the old SIM card out of your phone, replace it with the new SIM card that TextNow sent you, then download the TextNow app. There is an upgrade fee to actually be able to use the app. I believe it's like $6 a week, but if you need a new account, you just pay for the app, $6 that week, and then cancel as soon as you get your verification code, right? You don't need to pay for it week in and week out. You can just simply cancel after you get your verification code and you sign up for that new account. And you can see here on my phone, I'll pop a little screenshot up for you. I've used this countless times to sign up for new accounts over and over and over again, because the biggest hurdle to getting a new account is not a new name. It's not a new email address. You can make one of those up very, very easily. It's simply getting a new phone. And most people don't want to go out there and purchase a new phone and a new phone plan. I get it. I've been there myself. And so this is an easy way that's fast and cheap that you can get a new US phone number so you can sign up for new accounts. And the best part about this is you don't need to keep the SIM card in your phone, right? All you need to do, to recap, go to textnow.com, sign up for the activation kit. They will mail you the new SIM card. You put the new SIM card in your phone, replace it with the old SIM card that's currently in your phone that has your number, and then with this new SIM card, you download the TextNow app and you activate it and choose your new phone number. Then once that's done and you have the TextNow app, you've activated it with your new phone number, you can take this SIM card that TextNow sent you, take it out of your phone, put your old number back in, and then your phone works just like it always would with your normal number. But if you open it up and you go to the TextNow app, you can also access the TextNow number through that specific app, receive codes, send messages, make calls. So that's how I'm able to get US numbers very, very easily, very, very cheaply, over and over and over again, so that I can sign up for new accounts.
All right, so how can you do this outside the US? Very easily. First and foremost, if you're drop shipping, it's super easy because you can just use suppliers that are going to ship directly to your customers. So with that, you just want to pick good suppliers, like eBay would be a perfect example of that. And then you just need a VPN VPN so that you can access Mercari from within the US, right? So you just need a VPN. Doesn't matter if you use a free one. I use AVG here, but it doesn't really matter. Here's my AVG VPN right there. And then you can, like, whatever you want to use, right? You can use a paid one. You can use a free one. There's a ton of options out there. Just use a VPN. And then dropship, right? That's one way. The second way is to do the dropship arbitrage. Again, use a VPN so that you can access it from within the country. But then if you're doing the dropship arbitrage, you need a prep center. So I did an entire lecture on a specific prep center, like on how to find prep centers and use this sheet right here, Seller Essentials. I will drop it right now so that you understand how to actually access prep centers, how to contact them, and how to get the best deal. So this is a great, tool that you can utilize, selleressentials.com/Amazon-FBA-prep-services, or you can just Google at Seller Essentials Prep Centers and it will show you. And then you scroll down and it has a ton of prep centers listed here that you can utilize. So I would go through, and these are some of the best ones out there. I would go through and contact some of these. The reason being is it's going to depend on what you actually, where, like the time that you contact them, right? So sometimes this one might be good. 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 It just depends on the time of year and how busy they are and what they quote you, right? So they'll be more inclined, if they don't have a ton of customers at the current time, to take you for less money, right? And if they're super jam-packed and it's like, Q4 at the end of holiday season, like they might quote you some outrageous price because, they have a ton of people already and they just don't have enough inventory, or they just don't have enough workers to obviously receive more inventory. And so they're basically quoting you a crazy price so that if you say yes, okay, great, then they're making good money on their time. But if not, then they're basically like, hey, like we can't really deal with you right now because we're super busy, right? So the reason I'm saying that is there are a bunch of them. People always ask me once I tell them that, like, what's the best prep center? And I'm like, it just depends on the time and that specific prep center and how many, customers they have at that current time period. So what I would say is go to the Seller Essentials website right here. And again, just to find this, it's super easy. It's going to give you a list of prep centers. You go Seller Essentials Prep Center in Google, and it should pop up with one of the first ones to find, prep centers right there. Bang. And that's going to take you here where you can literally click on and go to the prep centers websites, contact them. And what I would recommend is contact 5 to 10 of these guys and go with a person that is the most helpful, and go with the prep center, that is the most helpful with the best price, okay? Because, for example, like, let's say you contact like these 8 right here, right? You want to go with the one that's the most helpful and has the best price combined, because this one right here might be super helpful and be willing to do a bunch of things for you, but maybe they quote you $4 a product, which is outrageous, and you should never go that route, right? This one might be, kind of helpful, but like their price is like $2.50 a product. This one might be super helpful, but their price is $5 a product. This one might be terribly, like they were not very pleasant to deal with on the phone, so they weren't very helpful, but they quote you 50 cents a product. And then it's like, where do you find the balance there, right? So you want to contact a bunch of them so that you're going to get a bunch of different touch points to see which one's helpful and which one gives you the best price, because you want somebody that's obviously going to help you and work with you and be willing to receive and work with you while they're receiving your products and shipping them out. But also, you also want somebody that's not going to quote you an arm and a leg. So I would say, depending on the time of year and depending on how busy they are, you can get them to receive your products for about 50 cents to $1. Sometimes it'll be all the way up to $2. I wouldn't go more than $2 with most prep centers, unless they're super helpful and willing to do pretty much everything for you, right? And that is super easy to do, because even if you're outside the US and you're making like $10 a product, $15 a product, whatever the case is, and you're giving away $2 or even $3, whatever, to a prep center, you're still making, if you were making $15 before, now you're making $13, and the prep center's handling all of that for you. So it's a great way to, obviously, if you want something that's a little bit more hands-off and you're within the US, then you can go this route. But for people that are outside the US, you just need a VPN, obviously, and then you just need a prep center. And again, contact 5 to 10 of these and go with the one that's the most helpful and has the cheapest quote for you per product. So some will quote you 50 cents, some will quote you $1, some will quote you $1.25, some might quote you $2, some might quote you $3, some might be super helpful, some might be like kind of in the middle and they're like a little bit helpful, and some are like, terrible to deal with and you don't want to do it. Again, it's just to depend on, that specific prep center, how busy they are, and who picks up the phone to actually help you and what their parameters are, right? So this is a great housing spot for a bunch of great prep centers. You don't need to just go with these, but these are, a lot of the top ones. So contact these. Hope it helps. But that's how you do it from outside the US.
All right, so I've got another really great question here that I get asked, fairly frequently. So I wanted to tackle it for you guys today. And this person says, I would like to ask you about Mercari. Is it possible to add listings there with a quantity more than one? So unfortunately, to answer your question, it is not possible. It's not like Poshmark, it's not like eBay, it's not like Amazon. You can only add a listing with a quantity of one of that item, right? So this is something that I deal with frequently. To give you an example, here's a perfect example of this product, right? Packs of gloves, I have many packs of these gloves, right? I list these on Mercari, and I'm only able to list one at a time on Mercari, okay? Same thing with these baby monthly milestone stickers, right? I have probably, dozens and dozens of these because I got them so cheap. Same with these gloves, right? So I list them on Poshmark, I list them on eBay, and I list them on Mercari to sell, right? But on Mercari specifically, I can only list them in quantities of one, okay? Now you could potentially list multiple of those, right? So just duplicate the listing, although I don't recommend that you do that because then you're basically going to be competing against yourself for your price point, so not really beneficial for you. I would recommend instead that you just list them with a quantity of one. Recently, Mercari has gone back and you used to not be able to do the relist feature, but they've added a relist feature, which I think is helpful. And if they don't, I'm not sure if they plan on potentially adding more quantity, but it looks like they're not currently. But at least they added a relist feature so that when you sell that, you don't have to copy everything back in. You can simply hit relist one like it, and it will relist the same listing with your sale obviously intact, right? So that's the best way to list multiple quantities on Mercari. Just list one, and then when you sell it, relist that item. So Elizabeth says, I have been selling on Poshmark. I am now new to Mercari. I sold a UA tank top to a buyer. It is being delivered today, and they now message me saying that they used the wrong payment method and they want me to cancel the sale. Then relist it for them and they'll purchase it again with a different payment method. Now, I have not experienced this on Poshmark. I notified them that I have no issues on my end or messages or error messages from Mercari about this. Then they messaged me again to please cancel the order and relist it for them for repurchase. Is this normal for Mercari? I feel like I don't want a mark on my selling record the first week when I'm selling in saying that I canceled an order. They are supposed to receive the item in the next hour. I truly do not know what to do. Thanks again. So that is a weird situation, Elizabeth, and great question. I'm glad you asked it. Now, I already went through and I answered this question for you, so hopefully you were able to, execute on this in real time. But in that situation, no, I wouldn't cancel the order. I would simply message the customer back and be like, listen, I already shipped it out. It's supposed to be delivered to you. There's no issue. Obviously, you say this nicely, right? You're not going to be like, no, deal with it. So you want to make sure, kind of err on the side of positivity, essentially, and assume the best is what I'm trying to say. And you just want to message them back and be like, listen, I'm sorry that, you purchased with the wrong payment method. There's nothing I can do because it's already been shipped to you and it's due to be delivered within the hour. You can feel free to try to return it because obviously, and then I would just leave it there, right? You can feel free to try to return it and then repurchase it again from a different payment method, but it's kind of out of my hands. I'm sorry, right? And just put the onus back on them because it is not your fault. And honestly, that sounds like it's like a scam or like a tactic that they're trying to use. Because what's going to happen is once you say that you have the option, they have the option of returning it. Mercari's terms of service, which I actually really, really like, and same with Poshmark, is like if the item is exactly how it was listed, there's nothing, you didn't list like new as like, or used as like new or something like that, and if you shipped out the right thing, Mercari won't authorize the return, right? It's only if you shipped out the wrong item. It's only if you didn't categorize it or, properly display something in the listing that should have been. And so Mercari probably won't accept that return, and honestly, it sounds like this person's just trying to get one over on you anyway. So that's how I would handle the situation. Sounds a little bit sketchy, but like I said, always err on the side of positivity, always assume the best, and assume that maybe that happened, give them the benefit of the doubt, although it seems a little bit sketchy, and just say, hey, I already shipped it out. I'm really, really sorry that you used the wrong payment method. It's due to be delivered to you within the hour, so if you get it and you still feel that way, you can obviously potentially go through Mercari and try to return it. Good luck, right? And just wish them the best and something like that.
So Mercari has switched their return policy a few times, but currently at the time of recording this, you are able to dispute it again. So I use the same approach, right? If it's my fault, then I'll just let them return it. If it isn't my fault and for whatever reason they want to return it for any number of those reasons, then I'll fight it and I'll say something along the lines of like, hey, this was described exactly what it was. The buyer got exactly what they ordered and this isn't returnable. And on those platforms, generally speaking, if you're true in that and it is, then they'll side with you and they won't let them return it. every once in a while, it is up to obviously like the human reviewer's discretion. So every once in a while, they will accept it and they'll just send it back anyway. But that's the price of doing business on these websites. So understand that. Now, you can return anything on Amazon, anything on Walmart, anything on eBay, or etc. if you tell them it was damaged and it showed up that way, right? Now, this is going to be your call, and you need to make the decision yourself if obviously it's not damaged, whether or not you want to damage it yourself and then ship it back. Because obviously if it showed up damaged, it wasn't what you were expecting, and so they need to honor the return and the refund. Now, again, that is an ethical concern, so it's up to you to make that judgment call if you want to do that. I'm just giving you all the tools and then letting you decide what you want to do, but you can return pretty much any product if you say that. You show proof of it, obviously, that would indicate that you do need to damage it yourself, right? So whether you rip it, you break it, whatever, I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just saying that is an option. Again, giving you all the tools from my experience if you want to go that route. Now, on Amazon specifically, you can also return anything by just simply saying it's an inaccurate website description. I'm going to show you that right after I'm done speaking. I'm going to drop a video that I did teaching you how to do that very, very easily, so you can return any product for free. Obviously, that's going to increase your margins because you don't have to pay to ship it back, which will then cut into your costs for orders that you're actually not getting profit on, right? So that's pretty much everything about returns and how I handle them on different platforms. Really hope it helps.
What you basically do, here's an example of a skin thing that my girlfriend just ordered. So if I wanted to return this for free and get my $17.99 plus whatever I paid in tax back, then what I would do is I'd simply hit return and replaced items, okay? Now, there's many ways to return an item on Amazon, but if you want to make sure that you get all your money back, right, including the tax, what you want to do is you want to select that item, and then when you choose your response, you want to choose inaccurate website description. It's going to ask you for comments and to, basically explain why it's inaccurate. So you can literally say like, not what I was expecting, or, isn't as described, or whatever you want. Now, full disclosure, I don't recommend doing this with a lot of products, obviously. Obviously, you're getting your money back, and the seller that sold that item is going to be potentially out that product because it's going to say that, it wasn't as described, or it might not necessarily go back into their active inventory or inventory that they can fulfill, right? So they might need to either get it sent back to them and then ship it back into FBA, or potentially get it destroyed, okay? So I recommend that you don't abuse this, A, for the sake of the other seller, not that you owe them anything, but just because it's a nice thing to do. And B, because you don't want to be seen with all your certain metrics if you're ordering only like 10 products, right? And you're returning 5 of them for, as inaccurate website description. Well, that's going to look weird in Amazon's eyes usually, right? And it's going to probably tick off the algorithm a little bit, and it's going to look shady, right? So if you're ordering hundreds of products, then what you can do is you can do that every once in a while, right? But I wouldn't recommend abusing it and doing it too much. So if you're ordering a couple hundred products, can you do it 5 to 10 times in a month? Of course. Get your money back for certain items. You shouldn't be running into many issues like all the time anyway, but this is just another tool in your tool belt that you can utilize to get your money back on a product if you need to. Okay.
All right, so really briefly, I want to cover maximizing your profits with a cashback credit card and cashback portals. Now, this is a no-brainer. Everybody should be doing this if you can. Now, the only caveat here is if you're young or you're irresponsible with money, then I would not say to do this. Instead, I would just use a debit card. Don't do this because you obviously don't want to use a credit card if you feel like you can't manage it. That's totally fine. I was in that place in the past. And there was one point in my life where I had like $20,000 in credit card debt. So I get it. I've been there, right? Now, if you are responsible and you feel like you can use a credit card and pay off that credit card with your profit, which you should be able to do if you're just a little bit disciplined and you manage your money well, then you should use a credit card. The reason being is you're going to get 5% cash back on a lot of your purchases, or 2% cash back if you're using another one. And depending on where you're shopping all the time, you're going to get a ton. Now, obviously that's cash back, but it instantly increases your profit margins, right? Because for example, like if I'm using Amazon as a supplier, or I'm drop shipping from Amazon, or I'm buying from eBay, or I'm using whatever the case is, wherever I'm buying, and I'm getting, in this case, 5% cash back, that instantly increases my margin 5%. So if I was making 15% before, now I'm making 20. If I was making 40% before, now I'm making 45, right? It is instant profit that you're getting just for using their card for purchases that you're already going to make, right? It's not like you're going out and spending more money to get cash back. That's not what I'm saying. in this, it's an ROI business, right? You need to spend money to make money, whether you're drop shipping or you're reselling in a lot of cases. And so if you're already spending this money, you might as well use a cashback credit card. That's what I'm saying, right? So Amazon Store Card, I have used this for, I don't even know how long, like 10 years. It's been phenomenal. I have literally made, I keep in mind, I used to drop ship really heavily, a ton. I still do, but I've probably made, I don't know, $50,000-ish, and that's just ballparking it, like on cashback here. It's kind of crazy. So they give you a ton of cash back every single month for using this. You can obviously just redeem it for points on Amazon if you want, or you can redeem it for credit on your Amazon card. It's great. I highly recommend this. I cannot recommend it enough. I will link this card to this lecture. I believe that there's a deal. So you get a certain specific, I think it's like a $50 statement credit or something like that by signing up through my link. And obviously I do as well, full disclosure. The next one is the eBay store card. And all these are ones that I literally have. I have all of these. Okay. So I have the Amazon store card. I have the eBay store card, same thing. 5 times points, so it's basically 5% cash back, roughly. It doesn't say 5% cash back, but that's literally what it ends up being because they give you points, which you can then redeem for statement credits, or you can also just redeem for credits on eBay. So with those points, you can literally redeem them for free eBay stuff. So if you're buying anyway, you just, next time you purchase, you don't use your card, you use the points, and literally it's the same thing as 5% cash back, right? So I use this all the time. And again, I have used this for probably like 3 to 4 years because I just started using eBay within the last few years as a more legitimate supplier. For a while, I was using Amazon a ton, still do obviously, but now I use eBay a lot more as well, both of them. And so this is a card that you should definitely have as well. Both of these are Synchrony Bank. They're super easy to set up, so like you don't need great credit to have them. And then one of the other ones that I used to use was the Walmart card. The Walmart store card gave you 5% cash back just like Amazon because, again, that's a great supplier. They discontinued that, which is a shame because I used it all the time like 5-6 months ago. So you can't use that one anymore. But those were the 3 main ones that I used, the Amazon, the Walmart, and the eBay. Amazon and eBay are still around. Use them while you still can. They're great cards to give you basically 5% cash back. And again, instantly increase your profit margins 5% if you use those as suppliers. And again, we're going to cover, like I said, like a ton of the drop shipping in this course. Like if you're drop shipping, like you should be using them anyway, a ton. So it's free money. The next one is the Discover It card. Now, I love this card because it's great for beginners. Almost everybody can get accepted for this card, even with poor credit, and it gives you 5% cash back. Now, 5% cash back is not on every single purchase. It's only on specific purchases that you literally have to delegate, right? So you can choose the specific ones depending on that month or that quarter or whatever, and it's really easy to pick them. It lets you pick them in either the app or like when you sign in to Discover, and I do it all the time, so you can pick like Target or Amazon sometimes, or other things like grocery stores or whatever, gas stations, whatever. And for example, like one of the options that you can pick, like even Lowe's I've seen, one of the options that you can pick is Target, and Target has free 2-day shipping as well. It also has free pickup as well. So you can literally use this to get 5% cash back at Target if you select that, right? And that's just one example. There's a bunch of other places that you can utilize this, not just Target. So the Discover It card is literally a phenomenal cashback credit card with up to 5% cash back for beginners that literally don't have great credit or might be super young. Like this is a great card, again, if you're responsible. I still have this card. I still use it. It's still in the back of my phone every single day. I use this all the time. And I will link this again. I think you get a $50 or $100 statement credit. So your first $50 that you spend, your first $100 that you spend is completely free by going through the link attached to this lecture for that. And again, full disclosure, I get that as well. So it helps us both out. And then it's just a great card on top of that. I'm going to link all these cards as well. So those are the top cashback credit cards, in my opinion. If you don't use those, you can literally pick anyone, but you should be getting cash back. There are plenty out there that will give you 2% cash back on all your purchases. So that's another option if you don't want to get any of the ones I recommended already. Just Google top credit cards that give you cash back, top cashback credit cards, and you can see pretty much there are a number of them out there that will give you 2% cash back. I think I have a Chase Freedom one that does that as well. I have a bunch of them. But that's another great option if you don't want to go with a specific card and you just want cash back on all your purchases and you don't have to specifically use a supplier. Like if you're going to use like liquidation sites or, other things like that where they're not super specific and they're kind of rogue, like then that's a great option as well. Although you could also use the Discover It card for those too, right? So those are the cashback credit cards. Now let's move on to cashback portals. Again, something that's a no-brainer. These don't cost you anything to use. They're just additional that you can utilize on your purchases. So Rakuten's one of them. Honey is one of them, and Capital One Shopping is one of them. Now, Capital One Shopping is great. There's a lot of different ways that this is great. You can download it. It's completely free, and it will, regardless of the website, try to find coupon codes so that you get cheaper products. It is a great one. However, I don't use this because I like Rakuten better, and I'm going to tell you why in a second. And you can use multiple ones, although it ends up being a hassle because they all try to go at the same time, and sometimes they override each other, and it kind of screws you over. So I wouldn't use multiple ones. I would just use one. I would pick one that you like the best. I think Capital One is probably second. This is probably third. And then Rakuten's number one, hands down. I still use this all the time. So Capital One is great. It's going to give you coupon codes on, websites all across, and just scan the internet for the best coupons for that website. It's great if you want to use that, but I don't use it, but it is great. Honey is okay. I used to use Honey a ton, but it gives you like points that you can redeem it for money, but you can also redeem it for like gift cards. But I've found that like the equivalent value of redemption is not the best. And it, again, overrides with Rakuten. So if you use Rakuten or Capital One, it's going to override it so that this is what you use. And I just don't like this one as much. It gives you, again, credits that you can redeem for like gift cards often, and you have to wait a long time before you can actually do that. I don't like it. I found personally that Rakuten is the best. It is the simplest that you can use, and it's literally just an extension that pops up regardless of where you're at, right? So like, for example, let's say I'm, let's go to Target. Anywhere, really. There's like hundreds or thousands of websites it will pop up. And when you're on Target or eBay or anything, it will literally pop up and say activate cash back. So this is going to give me 1% cash back on Target, but depending on where I'm at, like it might give me 5% or 2% or 3% or sometimes 10 or 15% cash back. And then that literally cash back ends up being cash back into your Rakuten account. Like you get it instantly in your account, but you don't get to redeem it. They send you a check every quarter. So if, for example, you're going to buy $100 on a website and they're giving you 5% cash back on Rakuten, that's $5 that's going to go into your Rakuten account that you can get, and that just stacks up to hundreds and thousands of dollars that they send you a check every quarter. So every 3 months, they'll send you a check. It's a game changer. Like this is telling you you're going to get 1% cash back. You just activate it, let it run, and then you do your shopping and boom. And it's that simple. Same thing with, like, for eBay, for example. Let's see what it's going to give me on eBay. Pops up with Rakuten. I think it's 1% cash back on eBay as well. But depending on the actual website, so if we go back to Rakuten, like it's going to tell you the specific cashback deal. So Fanatics, 2%, 14% cashback on Temu. That's wild right now. 10% cashback on Disney Store. 3% cashback on Vineyard Vines. 2% cashback on Champs, 7% cashback on Michael Kors. Like there's a ton here. And let's just go through some of favorites. 2% at Chewy, 8% at Nike, 2% at Macy's, 2% at Old Navy, 7% on Groupon. Like you get the picture. There's some great deals here. So for example, like if you end up like using like PetSmart as a supplier, which is somewhere I used to dropship from all the time, like 4% cash back means if you're spending, $100 on like dog food or whatever, you're going to get $4 cash back instantly into your Rakuten account that you wouldn't have otherwise made, right? So that is instantly increasing your margins 4% automatically. Now, you don't get access to that $4 right away. You have to wait till the end of the quarter for them to send you the check, but you still get it, and it still increases your margin. And I don't want to get too into the semantics of it with like accounting and everything because I'm not an accountant, so take this with a grain of salt. But I have a best friend that's an accountant that's a CPA. We go over this all the time. And the cool thing about cashback credit cards, number one, and cashback portals is that it is not tax deductible. So you don't have, like, while you can use these business credit cards and these cashback portals to, for your business as an expense and expense that off your business, the cashback that you get is not something that you have to report as income. So it's free money that you're getting just on top of it for purchases that you would have already had to make, right? So I don't want to get too into that, but it is something that's a game changer. So again, cashback credit cards, cashback portals. I will link all the deals that I find to these, the Amazon store card, the eBay store card, the Discover It card, and I'll link Rakuten because that's one that I recommend. You can go Honey or Capital One shopping if you want to, but I found that Rakuten is the best. I've been using this for like a decade. It's phenomenal. So all linked. Definitely use these. They're going to increase your margins instantly. All right. So at this point in the course, you've learned the fundamentals of selling. You understand how to create a strong listing, how to use SEO, how to leverage the platform to make and drive a ton of different sales. And while this platform is a fantastic place to start, the truth is there's a much bigger opportunity out there once you're ready to expand to other platforms. So if you want to learn more about retail drop shipping, not just here on this site, but across every major site where buyers are already shopping just like this, then the next best step for you is to enroll in my program, E-commerce Accelerator. Retail dropshipping quite literally changed my life. It is a simple, beginner-friendly business model that anybody can do, as you can see, and it can be profitable from week one. That is not just hype. I designed this program specifically, E-commerce Accelerator, to package up the same strategies that have worked for me and countless others so that you can shortcut the trial and error process and see results faster. Now, over the past several years, my team and I have listed probably tens of thousands of different products, maybe even more than that, across dozens of different websites, tested countless strategies, and built out proven systems that will work for anybody that's willing to put in consistent effort. And here's what's so powerful, right? You don't need to spend thousands of dollars on things like ads to test products. You don't need to spend months building a store hoping that it ranks. You don't even need to risk a lot of upfront money at all, or any money at all for that matter. With retail dropshipping, you're simply leveraging existing marketplaces like this that already have a massive pool of ready-to-buy customers. I mean, imagine taking products from retail websites like this and listing them onto a ton of different websites where people are already actively searching for those products. That is why it's so profitable so quickly, because the traffic is already there, a lot like you've seen, right? And with the tools and the software available today, it is even easier. I mean, product copying software, as you can see, literally takes the images, the titles, and the descriptions from retail pages and recreates ready-to-sell listings for you in seconds. And it even obviously allows you to then mark that price up instantly so that you're building in your profit margin without even having to do any math yourself or any work. The key is, though, consistency, okay? You don't need to be a genius to make this work, but you do have to be what most people won't be, and that is to stay consistent. So the 80-20 principle still applies here. You want to focus on the 20% of actions that are going to bring 80% of the results, and this system in E-com Accelerator does exactly that. So if you focus on what I teach inside the Accelerator, as you can see, there's a ton of power in that. There is absolutely no reason that you should be making $1,000 profit within your first 30 days. And then obviously from there, scaling is much, much higher. And once you have that reliable income stream, you can even use it as a side hustle if you want that pays your bills, or as a foundation to fund bigger projects without risking your own money. For me, this business model was one of the biggest turning points in my life. I realized that I didn't know everything and I had a lot more to learn, but then when I saw an opportunity like this with little downside risk and massive upside, I decided to jump in, and that decision changed everything for me. So maybe this will be a defining moment for you too as well. So if you're ready to take the next step, here's exactly what you can do. Simply head over to learnecom.net, enroll in E-commerce Accelerator, and you can use the code RETAIL20 at checkout for 50% off. This discount, RETAIL20, is exclusively for the students that are in this course and have watched this far. So if you want the easiest option as well, you could also just click the link attached to this lecture. I will, make it somewhere. It'll be an attachment and then a specific link. So it'll take you directly to the enrollment page with your discount applied. And this is the exact system that I wish I had when I started. It will save you time. It will save you money. It will help you build consistent monthly income right from week one, right from day one, realistically. So bet on yourself, take action, and I'll see you inside E-com Accelerator. So again, link to this lecture, or you can just go to learnecom.net and then enter your code RETAIL20 when you go to the E-com Accelerator page. I've been a Mercari seller for something like 4 or 5 years now. It's a straightforward enough platform, a lot like eBay. Although in the beginning, my sales were a fraction of what they are now, I learned what works and what doesn't through years of trial and error, countless failures, and over 10,000 listings. The first thing I learned to do when listing products is to never price myself out of profit. You always want to list a lot higher than you think you should. For starters, this has a positive impact on buyer psychology. When a buyer sees a listing priced super low, they subconsciously assume that it's not worth that much. And on the contrary, when they see a listing priced higher, they subconsciously assume it's worth more. So believe it or not, one of the easiest ways to make more on Mercari is just price your items higher. Furthermore, you'll notice that a lot of people make offers on this platform, so they'll feel like they're getting a deal. But if your item is already priced appropriately and it's priced low, you won't make much profit, if any, and that's if you decide to accept the offer. So one of my most effective strategies on this platform and others as well is to list high in anticipation of accepting offers. You can even take it a step further if you want to, and then raise your listing price when you do receive an offer, and then decline the offer after you do that, which will inevitably bring that person back to the offer page where they'll see a larger discrepancy than they might remember on their offer versus the listing price.
price. And a lot of times this can result in them making an even higher follow-up offer because for some reason, Mercari doesn't notify them when you change the listing on the offer page. Keep in mind, this obviously does come with risk that you won't get another offer, but it's just something that I've had a lot of success with from time to time, so test it out. The next thing I've noticed that works really well is to offer free shipping on all your listings. I've split tested this for years, and I can definitively tell you that the listings with free shipping convert more, even if the buyer is paying the same exact amount at the end transaction, just the listing price is higher with free shipping, it still tends to work more in most cases. I've also come to realize that good customer service and good ratings help you convert a lot of potential buyers as well, especially on Mercari. Mercari's been around for a while, but newer people just kind of getting introduced to the platform tend to get trust issues when purchasing for the first time. Just look at this Mercari scam video I dropped years ago and how many comments with newer buyers worried that they're going to get scammed are on there. So understand that on Mercari especially, almost every buyer is going to check your ratings and the recent reviews you've gotten and read them before they decide to purchase from you or not. So make sure you're keeping customers happy, keeping your ratings up, because it matters. I also recommend testing the automatic price drop feature on Mercari and the recommended pricing feature as well when you list. The recommended price feature is not the be all end all. Trust me, I price way higher than that all the time, but it is a good indicator of the other products that are very similar on the platform and then what they recommend that you list it off based on their prices. The automatic price drop feature will make offers to likers slowly and then slowly drop the price to simulate urgency and build value, a lot like we covered in tip number 1, but it will do this automatically for you. Just make sure you're setting a minimum price in there so you don't, again, price yourself out of profit. You also want to test more products too. If you want to start selling a lot more products on Mercari, you need to understand what sells well on the platform. So for example, I know that electronics, car parts, and power tools are 3 examples of things that sell well for me typically. But the only reason I know that is because I've listed lots of products on the platform. So take your best sellers as a start from other platforms and test them here. And typically what sells well on eBay or Facebook Marketplace does tend to sell well on Mercari as well. But don't stop there. Continue to test different things. And then when you get a product or a product category that starts selling well for you, double down on that. Those are some strategies I've picked up from years of selling on Mercari. This platform for sure won't make you a millionaire, but there's no reason why you can't do at least $1,000 to $2,000 profit per month on here with the right products and the right strategies, of course.
All right, so what happens if you get an order, right? How do you actually find that product? Well, there's a lot of different ways that you can actually go ahead and find that item. The first thing that you want to do, obviously, is click in. These are orders that I got a while back. So click into the actual item. The first thing that you want to do is obviously the easiest. Just take the actual name of the product, assuming you haven't changed it too much. Even if you have changed it a little bit, you can still probably just paste it into your supplier. So if this is an Amazon one, paste that title into Amazon, and boom, you can see that product is literally right there. If that doesn't work and you can't find it that way, then you can paste it into Google, see if it pops up on Google, and chances are other similar ones, so you can see this is actually on eBay. It's on Shine. It's on Amazon. It's also on Amazon again. That might be, no, that's a slightly different listing. And it's on Dropship Close as well, right? So there's a number of different suppliers that are all giving something very, very similar to this. Now, if that doesn't work, one of the things that you can do that a lot of people don't know is if you're using ZDrop like I recommend, and you click into ZDrop, you'll see that it stores all of your actual inventory, right? And where it was listed. So if you just click down on advanced search, you can search keywords into the title function here. Like for example, we'll say sleeveless striped and see if it pops up. Click filter, and usually the pictures are right here so you can see it a little bit better, but for whatever reason it's not loading right this second. But let's just try to click this first one to see if this is the actual product, and bam, it is. So that's the product right there. So ZDrop stores your inventory automatically when you use it, which is really, really cool. Now, if you search this entire title, sometimes it won't come up. So just search keywords back to back. So you could search like comfy sleeveless, romp or summer, tank jumpsuit, stuff like that, right? And you can search pretty much anything in here, it's gonna store it. Now, if that doesn't work and you can't find it in ZDrop using the actual keyword search, that will take you directly to your supplier when you click on the product image. So click on this, it will take me to that product listing. But if that doesn't work, you can't find it on the supplier, you can't find it on Google, and you can't find it searching keywords in ZDrop, one of the best things that you can do is just save one of the images or save a few of the images and do a reverse image search on Google. So just save one of the images. Doesn't matter as what. You can see I literally have it bookmarked here because my VA uses it all the time. You search by image on Google, put that in there, and that should analyze the image and then come back with all the places that it finds a similar image. There we go. It's on Amazon. That one's a little bit more expensive than the other listings, so we could keep trying to find it a little bit cheaper, but you get the picture, right? So this is going to help you find products once you make sales. Obviously, you should know your main suppliers anyway. I always recommend that people start with, Amazon, Walmart, eBay, maybe even Target potentially, and some others. So you should know your main suppliers anyway. You could just search the search bars there. But if all else fails, do the reverse image search before obviously you cancel the order or you mark it fake shipped or anything along those lines.
So if you look on the screen right now, this is an item I dropshipped recently, and one of the issues that you'll get is this Amazon TBA tracking number. How do you go about inputting that? You can't. So what you then need to do is you need to convert this Amazon tracking number into a tracking number that's going to that same exact city and state for that relative date. So for example, this one was already delivered, but just use your imagination here. Let's say hypothetically, because it is June 3rd, this was delivered yesterday. Let's say hypothetically, this is estimated to be delivered on June 5th, for example, right? And it's going to Philadelphia, PA. So what I would then do is instead of, inputting the TBA tracking number, which I can't even do. So if this was going to Philadelphia, PA on June 5th, what I then do is I go to Track Taco right here. You buy tracking numbers. And then what you can do is you can input Philadelphia, PA, and you can see just how many of these I've used. Like I've used so many of them. I think I still have 66 left, but if you buy a bunch of credits at once, it can be really, really cheap. I'm not sure the specific number on it. It can be as expensive, I believe, as like 75 cents all the way down to, I want to say like 25 to 30 cents a tracking number if you buy them in bulk. I usually just buy 500 at a time, so I don't really have to worry about kind of constantly renewing them. So Philadelphia, PA, if this is going to Philadelphia, PA on the 5th, what I would then do is I'd want to mark it a day later just in case it was a little slow. And also you don't want to mark it on the same day because for whatever reason, that tracking number shows delivered in the morning, but their tracking number is getting delivered the same day, but it gets delivered later. You don't want to run into an issue where the customer is questioning it and being like, hey, my thing showed up as delivered, but it's not here yet. So always go at least a day later, preferably even two. The only issue that you're going to face there is you're going to get your money a day or two later when the tracking number is actually delivered instead of the actual package. But if they receive their package first and the tracking number shows a day later that it's delivered or two, they're not even going to pay attention to it, number one. Most people won't even realize. And even if they do, they're still going to be happy because they got their package faster than they expected to. So if this was coming on the 5th to Philadelphia, PA, I input Philadelphia, PA here. I put the 6th because it's a day later, so I'll go 6th to 7th, and then I'll wait for it to pop up with the estimated available tracking numbers. It found 4,000 between FedEx and UPS together. I click Get Tracking Number. I wait for it to generate that tracking number to Philadelphia, PA on, we click the UPS tracking number right here, it's going to show me when it's delivered, and it should say the 6th or the 7th. This is coming on the 7th. So perfect. Then I would copy this tracking number. I would input it into Facebook Marketplace on that order. And now I have a tracking number that's going to that city, that state, estimated slightly later than the actual item is getting there. The customer's happy. I'm happy because I don't have to run into an issue where I can't input that tracking number and I get the order canceled. And obviously the platform's happy because it looks like you're inputting tracking numbers on time and you don't run into any issues, okay? So that's the first way to do it is you want to convert Amazon TBA tracking numbers into Track Taco tracking numbers, which then generate you a UPS or a FedEx tracking number to that city and state on that estimated delivery date. Now, the second way that I use this is when I'm marking orders fake ship. If, for example, you run into an issue where somebody orders an item and it's out of stock on your supplier's website and you can't find that item on any other website for whatever reason, and you need to obviously mark it shipped or cancel it, if you want to protect your cancellation rate, you don't want to, cancel a bunch of orders, one of the ways that you can do it is mark it fake shipped. So for example, let's say this customer where you can't find the item has an address in Columbus, Ohio. Well, then you'd come to Track Taco, you generate an address to Columbus, Ohio, on whatever date. It doesn't really matter because you're not actually ordering this product. It's not actually coming. And so what would happen is you generate a tracking number to Columbus, Ohio. You input that fake tracking number, which obviously doesn't have a corresponding product with it because you didn't actually order that product. And then the customer is going to see that the item was delivered and they're going to obviously message you, and then you can go about refunding them and apologizing to them. So I'll go ahead and I'll refund them when they reach out typically, and I'll say something along the lines as well as give them the screenshot of the refunded order as somehow this got delivered to the wrong address. I'm currently on the phone with FedEx or UPS, trying to figure out exactly what happened, but I've gone ahead and issued you a full refund on your order. Sorry for the inconvenience, okay? And so basically what you're doing is you're saying like FedEx or UPS lost the package, you're trying to follow it up, but you're taking ownership of it and you're issuing them a full refund. Very rarely do I run into somebody that has a major issue with this. Most people just say, okay, thanks, can I reorder? And then you can either say at that point, like, hey, you don't have any more. You'll let them know when you get more in stock. Or yes, you can reorder if for whatever reason it's been like a week since, you tried to order it last time and the tracking number, the fake tracking number, was marked delivered and they're reaching out to you. And then by that time, it might be back in stock and then you can go ahead with their order and send them another one, right? Or if it even comes back in stock, then you can just simply say to them, like, instead of saying refund them, you can just simply say like, hey, this got delivered to the wrong address. I'm currently on the phone with UPS or FedEx trying to figure out exactly what happened, but I'm going ahead and expediting you another one. Just, it's kind of like a fancy way of saying like, I'm express shipping it, even though you might not be. And then when that happens, you can order them another one and then send them and message them the new tracking number. So that's the second way, market fake ship. That's basically how you can approach it that way. Now, another reason that you might want to use this is if, like I said, it's out of stock, or if for whatever reason the price was raised significantly on your supplier's website and now you're losing a significant amount of money. So in my experience, like if I'm losing $5 to $10 here or there, like it's rare. What I'll do is I'll send it out anyway, and then I'll just mark my price up manually. If I'm losing like 20 or more, often I won't even ship that. I'll just fake ship it. I'll raise my price and then worry about it with future orders.